And we're live.
All right, here we go. Week 14. It's the fantasy playoffs for most of you. Hopefully, of course, you're still in it. That's what we're playing for is the postseason. We're here. I'm Pierre, and he's Chris. We're here to help you win each and every week. This is Fantasy Football Endgame. Thanks to those loyal viewers who've been with us for the past few weeks. And welcome if you're a new viewer. I know we keep growing and growing. Tell everybody. Again, every week we give you waiver wire advice, start sit advice, and of course, Endgame Live. We're going to try to answer as many questions as possible today. Start sit questions. I know we'll have a ton, but first, let's get to the news. And Chris has been hard at work here getting us the latest updates. If something changes while we're on the air, we will break it to you as soon as we can. I'll start with some surprises. First of all, who's back? Some guys that you maybe weren't sure of. And start with a surprise. Josh Jacobs just found out he is going to play today, which I guess shouldn't be surprising because we know John Gruden pretty much downplayed it and made it sound like he wasn't. So, of course, we should have expected that he was. So Jacobs is playing. Not a great matchup against Indy, but at the very least, I would say if you had Devontae Booker in your lineup, you can definitely get him out. Chris, I don't think we can feel great about Jacobs, not just because of the injury, but just because the matchup and the Raiders has just looked terrible lately.
Yeah, but if you have him, you probably have to play him because what are your other options, honestly? So I'm sure we'll get plenty of Josh Jacobs questions this morning.
We will. I'm not super high on him, but he is back and definitely startable. James Conner also back, kind of the same situation. We don't know how many touches he'll get, but thankfully you don't have to worry about Benny Snell because he's just terrible. Daniel Jones is back, and I don't think that should matter for fantasy. Hopefully it doesn't, because if you're having to start him, I mean, it probably would be a super flex league. Even then, it's super risky. So, but maybe that will help his receivers a little bit against Arizona. And then Jonnu Smith is back. So I guess that maybe affects if you picked up Anthony Ferguson. But we still wouldn't recommend starting Jonnu Smith, I don't think. All right, who is in? Some questionable players, some big names here, guys who've been injured during the week, and we weren't sure. It looks like Zeke is going to play against Cincinnati. He said his team needs him. Sure. And then Todd Gurley, it looks like he's in. So again, don't count on Ito Smith or any Brian Hill breakouts this week. Todd Gurley, of course, always viable because of his touchdown upside. DeAndre Swift is in. Chris, we've talked about him in this whole situation. I still don't feel good. I know some people thought, I honestly thought he could be a league winner down the stretch, but he barely practiced. He was out with concussion, said that his reaction time was slow. We talked about this on the running back episode. I'm not counting on DeAndre Swift in my lineup anywhere this week.
Yeah, it's tough because we don't know what to expect. I've heard reports, that he won't get his normal, well, I shouldn't say normal, but he won't get the bulk of the snaps or the work because he's still coming back from this concussion. So it's super risky. It's tough because we know what the upside is, but at the same time, if you start him and he only gets, 5 to 10 touches, you're going to really be kicking yourself. So tough situation for sure.
Yeah, and I feel like that's exactly what's going to happen. He's not going to be involved very much. I kind of don't mind Adrian Peterson this week because of Green Bay's run defense. They give up a lot of yardage, but Mike Evans is good to go. It'll be interesting to see how the targets are distributed there today. I mentioned this in the wide receiver video. I'm pretty big on Antonio Brown this week, but we'll see. That means it's probably an Evans week. And then Curtis Samuel is back. So he was on the COVID list, but deemed that he was fine. He was just a close contact. So he is playing. But we get to the who's out. DJ Moore is out. But I think I'm still biggest on Robbie Anderson here because we know he's still going to get a ton of targets. And Denver's secondary, missing Bryce Callahan, missing AJ Bowie, missing Asang Bate. They're going to be without basically all their top cornerbacks. This could be a great day for Robbie Anderson, but Curtis Samuel is kind of a sneaky play here too.
Yeah, especially with Christian McCaffrey out, we know that they'll use Curtis Samuel out of the backfield around the goal line. So definitely a sneaky play if you're desperate at wide receiver.
There you go. Who is out? DJ Moore, like I said, is out. He had an ankle injury and on the COVID list. Brandon Cooks, we just found this out that he is, according to, I think it's Ian Rappaport, right? He's not going to play. He was questionable throughout the week. So you take away Will Fuller already. They cut Kenny Stills, which they maybe are regretting that. And now Brandon Cooks is out. You're going to see a lot of Kiki Kuti this week. You're going to see a lot of him. He definitely has to move up your rankings just because he's their number one receiver right now. He's their number one receiver. Oh, and Randall Cobb also on IR. Jamison Crowder, Chris, clarify for me. He's questionable. Has he been officially ruled out? I know he didn't even practice on Friday, right?
Yeah, never good to see a player practice Wednesday and Thursday and then not practice Friday. That's a bad sign. Haven't seen an update on him. It's been really weird. All these updates coming in. Haven't seen one on him. The last one I saw, they said he may suit up, but it may just be in an emergency fashion. So at this point, I don't think you can trust Crowder in your lineup. Get him out.
It's crazy because that would have been a great matchup against Seattle. You know, they've given up a ton of points to wide receivers. Denzel Mims is also out. He was ruled out early in the week. So we could actually see Brashad Perriman in back-to-back years be a league winner just for the fantasy playoffs. Like, do pretty much nothing, and then week 14 through 16 just crush. I'm just saying I'm pretty high on Perriman right now. He's, again, pretty much their only option at receiver. Antonio Gibson is out. We know that turf toe, so it's going to be tough sledding for Washington. Of course, Christian McCaffrey, pour one out for him and his fantasy owners. He's not going to play at least this week. I guess he hasn't been ruled out for next week yet. And then Julio, again, is out. At least, thankfully, they ruled him out on Friday, so we knew ahead of time he wasn't going to be playing. So, Chris, I know how you feel about Matt Ryan without Julio. Is this Calvin Ridley week?
Yeah, I mean, every week's Calvin Ridley week, right? He's just good. It doesn't matter. He's a top 10 every week for me. But, yeah, Matt Ryan becomes a real – the thing about Matt Ryan is it's such a great matchup with the Chargers. Should be a shootout. Two defenses that give up a lot of yards and points to the passing game. But, man, he's been so bad without Julio. You got to really wonder here. So I think the matchup saves him to some degree. Certainly I don't think he's like a must play. But I think it kind of saves him a little bit, although we'll see.
Yeah, it's not a bad matchup. Chargers just been terrible. I don't know what's going on there. A sinking ship for sure. But we don't get too many quarterback questions, but with Matt Ryan, he's very risky this week. And then very interesting here, Myles Gaskin. My Dolphins just can't keep a running back on the field for more than a couple of weeks at a time. So Gaskin was set to be the workhorse, and now he's on the COVID list. And Matt Breida is still not playing, and Ahmed is still out. So it's going to be the Deandre Washington show. I'm going to guess we're going to see a lot of questions about Deandre Washington because just last night there was a ton of talk on Twitter going back and forth about Deandre Washington and Lynn Bowden. So I could go on about that, but I'll save those thoughts for the actual questions. Kyle Rudolph at tight end is out. And so Irv Smith is technically playable, but you probably should look somewhere else. Carson Wentz, not due to injury, but you know he's not starting, and Jalen Hurts is. So that'll be interesting. And last but not least, Kenny Golladay. Guess what? He's out. I just have to throw that in there just in case you forgot that Kenny Golladay still exists. All right. So it is time for Start Sit questions. You know, guys, we will try our best to get to all of them. The good news, we get so many questions. We try to answer them all. Maybe we'll be able to. We didn't get to last time just because we had so many, but that's a great sign. We're going to try to get to the meat of the answers, I guess, as quickly as possible. But again, be patient, keep trying, get your questions in now, clarify if it's PPR, standard, superflex, whatever it is, and we'll definitely try to get to your questions. So start firing away, guys.
Yeah, guys. All right. Just three quick things before we get to the questions. Number one, thank all of you for being here every Sunday morning, supporting the channel, watching our videos throughout the week. We appreciate all of you. Number two, I pinned the link to the Discord server at the top of the chat. I know it works because we already had somebody join. I know last week I think I posted it and it was wrong. My apologies. So if we can't get to all the questions, you can always hop on the Discord server. We can help you out in there, and we'll be on there pretty much in and out all day to answer your questions. And then number three, if you ask a question and we answer it and you found it helpful, all we ask in return is that you just hit the subscribe button. That's it. That's all you got to do to thank us. Just hit that subscribe button and we'll be good. And like Pierre said, we're going to try to get to every single question. So don't worry, guys. If you ask a question and it's down the list, we will get there. So let's jump into it. You know, it's funny because you said we probably won't get a lot of QB questions. And then I laughed because the first two questions we got, I saw them coming in were QB questions. So here we go. First question, Patrick Garcia asks, Cousins or Kyler Murray?
And here we are, right? 2020, Kirk Cousins and Kyler Murray. Okay, and last week the answer was Kirk Cousins, and that turned out to actually be the correct answer, pretty much. But Cousins is not facing Jacksonville this week. Cousins is okay, but against Tampa Bay, I know Jamel Dean is out. I know that the Tampa Bay defense hasn't been what it's been, but it's not a gimme match for Cousins, so I got to go Murray.
I actually do really like Cousins this week. I think Tampa Bay's pass defense is sneaky bad right now. But I can't start him over Kyler Murray in a must-win spot. I know Kyler Murray's been struggling, hasn't been running as much, but man, I would be kicking myself if I have Kyler Murray on my bench and he runs for 50 yards and a score. So I got to go Kyler Murray here.
Yeah, I agree. Tampa's defense they overachieved the first half of the year, but they're not terrible. I mean, they still have a good pass rush. And Murray, like you said, that rushing upside, that's something Cousins doesn't have. So I know Giants defense is good, but they're not the Steelers, either. So I'm not too scared in that situation.
All right, Dale Jadu. Here we go. Another quarterback one. Herbert or Mahomes?
The answer is always Mahomes. I know Mahomes has a tough matchup, but still, it's Mahomes. Unless there's somebody, the only person I would have over Mahomes like this particular week would be Aaron Rodgers, who I do have as my number one quarterback, and then maybe Russell Wilson because going against the Jets. But other than that, it's Mahomes.
I don't even know if I could put Russell Wilson over. I know it's a great matchup, but man, that offense just hasn't been clicking the way it was early in the years. But I agree. Yeah, it's Mahomes for sure. Mahomes. All right, Sven1 FR Avila, welcome back, buddy. Good to see you. He's starting Evan Ingram over Gronk today. Did I make the right choice? Yes. Do you agree?
Yeah. I know actually there was some concern Cameron Brate wouldn't play, which I guess would help Gronk stay in the field more, but Cameron Brate is playing. But even besides that, it is a pretty good matchup for Gronk. But yeah, Ingram, regardless of quarterback, I think I kind of feel like, I don't want to say he's like an every week top 5 tight end, but he's kind of been, that territory. And Gronk's a little harder to trust. So
yeah, and Daniel Jones being back, I thought Colt McCoy would be really good for Evan Ingram. I think Daniel Jones is actually better for Evan Ingram. So, and especially since Daniel Jones is going to be limited running wise, he's going to just be sitting in the pocket. So, all right, and then Heath Johnson. Heath, welcome back as well, buddy. See you every week. Good to see you. Good morning. Kyler Murray or Deshaun Watson? See, look at that. You said no quarterback questions in the first three of the first 4 are quarterback questions.
I said we usually don't get a lot of quarterback questions. So everyone's proving me wrong here. Okay, so quarterbacks. I love quarterback questions too, actually. What was the question again?
Kyler Murray or Deshaun Watson?
You got to be down on Watson just because without Cooks, I know Chicago was kind of a no-go matchup, and now lately they haven't been. They've been pretty generous to wide receivers, but still in a tough matchup with basically no weapons, no David Johnson, no Brandon Cooks, no nothing. I'm kind of off of Watson this week.
Yeah, I kind of agree. I wish it wasn't Kyler Murray, your other choice, though. I wish it was somebody more that I felt better about. But I'm definitely worried about Deshaun Watson without Brandon Cooks. So I think I'd go Murray as well. And then he also asked at wide receiver. Well, okay, he asked Allen Robinson or Brandon Cooks, but like we said, Brandon Cooks looks like he's out, so that's an easy choice. Probably would have been Allen Robinson anyways. And then he has a tight end question: Ibron or Tanyan?
That's actually a really good question. Yeah, Tanyan has been good. They could score a ton of points against Detroit. I actually think they will. But Detroit actually hasn't been as bad against the tight end statistically. So I have Ibron a little bit higher, but that's kind of a flip a coin one.
Yeah, I always just prefer the guy getting targeted more, which is Ibron. I know Tanyan's been getting the touchdowns, and Aaron Rodgers dials up his number every time around the goal line, which is very frustrating for Aaron Jones. Anybody who has Aaron Jones, but I still think you got to go Ibron. All right, dollar bill DDB, big playoff week. Yes, it is. AJ Brown. The full PPR, A.J. Brown, Chris Godwin, Deontay Johnson, T.Y. Hilton. He needs 2, and he gets a 10-point bonus if they reach 100 yards. 10 points? Dang. So that's huge for anybody who can get. So who has the best chance to get 100 yards out of that group?
Out of that group, A.J. Brown.
Yeah.
And I mean, against Jacksonville, you got to start AJ Brown either way. And then for me, the number 2 choice there was Godwin, because again, it's just as good a matchup with Minnesota's secondary. And Godwin, I know some people might be concerned. They say, "Oh, he was out of practice because he had a procedure." He had the pins removed from his pinky finger, so now he'll actually be catching the ball better. It's actually a good thing for him. He's free and clear. I think to me, got to go with Godwin too.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's going to be a lot of Tom Brady. I really like Tom Brady this week. I think they're going to throw the ball a lot. So I agree. Those would be my 2 choices as well. All right, Novo T Swerve. Here you go. I assume he means DeAndre Washington. So your first DeAndre Washington question. DeAndre Washington or Jeff Wilson?
Got to be DeAndre Washington. So we had this debate. I had a couple of debates last night on Twitter about DeAndre Washington. There's one guy who is just huge. He thinks he's going to smash this week. I said, I'm not going to go that far. And then there's another guy, another analyst I work with. He said, go Lynn Bowden, because even though he qualifies at running back, he's basically a wide receiver. He plays both, right? And he's playing in the slot. He's a slot receiver. Remember, Miami has no wide receivers after Devontae Parker, right? There's Jakeem Grant, who's really a kick returner, who's just supposed to be a deep threat. He plays receiver, and he's been banged up. They have nobody else. So Lynn Bowden, now all of a sudden, last week, he's starting to get more playing time, more snaps, more targets. He's an interesting play because even though he might not get a ton of touches, he has that ability. He could take it to the house. DeAndre Washington, we know what he is, right? He's a kind of a smaller running back who can catch passes, and he's not a workhorse guy, but he's the only healthy running back for Miami. Like, he is it. And I know they're going to be playing the Chiefs. They're probably going to be losing at some point, but he can still catch the ball. And they've been getting Gaskin had been averaging. I mentioned this because I had Myles Gaskin as a must start. And so obviously I kind of feel good about Washington. I don't feel great about him, but I feel he's like low end RB2 maybe. So to me, I really liked Washington this week.
Yeah, I mean, I like him more than Jeff Wilson, but to temper expectations a little bit, in week 12 when they played the Jets, when it was him and I think Laird and maybe one other running back that was available that week. So Gaskin and Ahmed weren't. Well, I don't know if Ahmed was quite a thing yet. Maybe he was. 13 carries for 49 yards, 2 catches for 11 yards. So eight PPR points. And it, like you said, it's KC. They're probably going to be losing. Could help them, I guess, in the pass catching, but don't get too crazy about Washington. But I do prefer him over Wilson as well. Yeah. And Ethan Smith bringing another QB question for you. You just had to say that this morning. Now we're just going to get like 90% QB questions. Like they're just going to. Our viewers are just going to intentionally ask QB questions just to spite you now. No, just kidding. Tannehill or Brady?
Oh, man. Now that's tough. I have them both. Actually, I have Tannehill number 4 just because it's Jacksonville. And I got Brady, I think, number 6. So I actually have Tannehill a little bit higher, but I could see it go both ways.
Yeah, I like both these guys this week. This is a tough one. I think I would slightly lean Tannehill as well, just because we've seen it more consistently this year. Brady's kind of up and down. It should be an up week, of course, for him against Minnesota, but still feel a little better about Tannehill, but really close, and they're both good plays. Sam Joshi, Drake, full PPR. And I'm guessing it didn't say, so I'm going to assume he only needs one of these guys. Drake, Mostert, Debo, or my boy Corey Davis.
Ooh, just one of those. Now that's interesting, and that's where I feel we might differ on this one, Chris. But I'm out on Mostert out of that group. He was kind of been banged up. I don't know he's fully healthy. Washington, say what you will, but they still have a decent defensive line at least, and he's splitting carries now with Jeff Wilson, and Tevin Coleman is back. So I just can't feel great about Mostert. Debo usually would be the pick for me, but he's also been kind of banged up. He's got a bruised foot. I don't know that he's going to see a ton of work in this game because I don't know how much they're going to need to pass it. So I might lean Corey Davis.
Yes, it's Corey Davis.
Oh,
Corey Davis.
I know you're big on Davis, and I know you're not big on – actually, I'm big on Drake this week. I am, but against Corey Davis, I mean, the matchup is too good.
Yeah, I mean, if you're big on Tannehill and you're big on the matchup against Jacksonville, you got to be big on – because, look, people might not know this, but Corey Davis is wide receiver 14 since he came back from injury. And he has more receptions and more yards than A.J. Brown over that stretch. Now, I'm not saying I would still start A.J. Brown over Corey Davis. I got a lot of A.J. Brown, Corey Davis questions on the videos this week, but I'm just saying Corey Davis has we saw last week he finished as an overall wide receiver 1. Tons of upside in this matchup. Definitely Corey Davis. All right, Mark Coxwell. Hold on, there's a long question, so I want to read it so I can just give you the condensed. Goddard with another week. So, okay, he's got a tight end question. Goddard, Fant, or Logan Thomas? Goddard, Fant, or Logan Thomas?
Goddard is it's a tough one because with Hurts, like what's that going to look like? He seemed like he wanted to throw deep to the wide receivers more often than not. We know he's going to tuck it down and run with it sometimes. New Orleans is a really tough run defense. They can give up some yardage in the secondary, but I don't know if it's a great spot for Goddard. Logan Thomas is not a bad play. I just don't feel like his upside against San Francisco, to me, I got to scratch him because they actually have been one of the toughest against tight ends, and their defense looks really good again this year. So I would go Fant. Fant was the first choice, right?
Goddard, Fant, or Thomas? Yeah.
I would go with Fant.
Man, I can't bench Goddard. I know I wish I'd feel better about him with Wentz because we've seen it, but he's been so good every week that it's just hard for me to bench him. I know Fant was okay last week with Drew Lock, so I don't mind him, but for me, I got to lean slightly with Goddard. But
yeah, it's tough. It just depends how good you feel about that Philly offense, with Hurts. I personally, I'm not expecting too much, I guess.
All right, Estelle K, Swift or Gallman?
I'm not starting Swift anywhere, so I got to stick with Gallman at least this week. And Gallman is still the guy there, so and it's not a terrible matchup, so Gallman's pretty solid.
Yeah, I think I'd roll with Gallman. I would just take the safety of not worrying about Swift, getting limited. Nate, good morning. See you there. Good morning. All right, Merrick Lassick, welcome back. Hope everyone is doing well. Hope you're doing well also. So he needs one first flex in half PPR. Kuti, your boy Tim Patrick, Hines, Hilton, Murray, Latavius Murray, I assume.
Probably.
Yeah.
Oh,
okay. Yeah. So who's your half PPR flex out of that bunch?
I think it's got to be Kuti, just because, again, now that we know he's the man, the only man there, he's got to get a ton of targets. We've seen in games, even when there is at least another healthy receiver, he still gets double-digit targets. And I don't just mean last week, but I mean when he was a rookie, right? When he stepped in because he had to out of, emergency because everybody else was hurt. He's going to get targeted a ton. So I feel like Kuti is definitely the go.
I agree. Love Kuti. I mean, I already like Kuti anyways, but especially with Cooks out, got to love him even more. And then he says he's playing Gurley, but would you put Hines or Murray in over Gurley? Half PPR.
Not Murray. Hines, he's okay. I mean, it's not a bad matchup, and he can always score a touchdown. I mean, I don't know. I still have Gurley just barely higher, just because Jonathan Taylor now is becoming more effective. You know what I mean? And so I don't feel like Hines, I can be quite as high on him.
Yeah, I'd like Hines better if it was full PPR. And there has been some reports that Gurley's going to finally get a bunch of carries and snaps. We'll see. So I think you're good with Gurley.
Yeah.
All right, another QB question for you. Novo T Swerve, Matt Ryan or Big Ben? I think I know where this one's going.
That's definitely Big Ben. I mean, he's been chucking the ball all this whole past month. They're throwing it 50 times a game. I like Big Ben. And this, with Buffalo, as long as Josh Allen doesn't crash and burn, which I don't think he will, then this could be a high-scoring game.
Yeah, definitely got to be Big Ben. All right, Jess Karn Chima. Again, apologies if I mispronounce anybody's name. I'm doing my best. Half PPR, Brandon Ayuk or Marvin Jones?
I'm big on Ayuk. This week, I think we saw even with Debo back last week, Debo didn't really get involved till later. Ayuk was involved pretty early. I'm not saying he's the number one guy over Debo just yet, but I feel pretty good about Ayuk in this matchup. So that's who I'd go.
Yeah, I really like Ayuk this week. And isn't Marvin Jones going to be facing Jair Alexander?
He should be. I don't think it's a shadow situation, but yeah. And the same thing with Marvin. It's like even last week we didn't expect much, and he had a big game. But he's the number one guy there, and they should be passing the ball a ton. But sometimes he just tends to disappear. I feel better about him, especially now that Patricia's gone. I feel better about everything in Detroit, which I know most Lions fans do. But I kind of like Ayuk's upside better.
Yeah, me too. All right, Sven1FR Vila has a tight end question for you. Full PPR. Ingram or Tanyan? Who has the highest upside? Is what he specifically asked for, the highest upside.
Well, I feel like we kind of answered that before, but yeah, I think it's Ingram because again, with Tanyan, it's mostly touchdown dependent. I know that he's been coming on a little bit more lately, but still, I feel like here's the thing with Detroit, that matchup. Even though they're one of the worst defenses in the league, they're the worst. I think it's officially the worst run defense, right? They're them or Houston. They keep taking turns. The worst run defense. Aaron Jones will run wild. And now Okudah is out, and their secondary was already terrible. So the wide receivers, Devontae Adams, can also run wild. I don't feel like they'll need to throw it to Tanyan too much. Ingram, that Giants offense, they're a little more dependent on Ingram as one of their primary threats. You know what I mean? So I feel like he's got the highest upside, and there's a better chance the Giants will have to be throwing against Arizona.
Yes, I agree. All right, Ethan Goldman needs one in half PPR. Lazard, Hilton, or DeAndre Washington?
Oh, and I love me some Lazard. I'm going to stick to it. Okay, we just talked about this. This might be a case. There's a few players, right? And I've been a lot better over the years at becoming an analyst. I'm trying to be objective about this, but there's a guy that has just like a piece of your heart, and you just have to. Lazard is one of those guys for me. So I feel like against Detroit, like it just said, with Okudah out, I think this could be the week he blows up. So I know Washington maybe is a safer pick, but I like Lazard.
You don't like Hilton?
I like Hilton, but he's just a little more unpredictable. Yeah. And Hilton's not a bad choice, but I feel like the upside, again, you're talking upside here for Lazard is huge against Detroit.
Yeah, I agree. I think out of these three, Lazard has the most upside. Like Washington's fine. To me, Washington, especially in half PPR. Yeah. So if he catches 4 or 5 passes, that's not as big of a bump. He's just kind of whatever, good, but not great. Whereas Lazard, like you said, he could have a big play, could have touchdowns. So I'd roll Lazard for the upside.
Yeah, you're going in the playoffs, you can have a tough matchup, right? Whoever you're playing has a good team too. I mean, is Washington going to be possibly that game winner for you? I don't think so. Could Lazard, go for 100+ yards and a touchdown? Absolutely, he could. Could Hilton? Well, of course, we saw what he did last week. So yeah, that's why exactly what you're saying, because it's just Washington is okay, but he's not the type of player who probably ever will just smash.
No. All right, Justin Case, full PPR. Edwards Elaire or James Conner?
Oh man. These are two guys that are just hard to trust in general. Edwards Elaire, he might get some run just because Kansas City is a smart team, and they're really smart, knows that the strength of Miami is in the secondary with Xavier Howard, right? It could be an Edwards Elaire day, but I don't know. I think I have Conner a little bit higher, but just because I don't trust that Edwards Elaire will do anything.
Yeah, this is tough because, like you said, these are both guys that are tough to trust, especially Conner coming off of COVID.
Yeah.
How he's affected. I think I would lean Edwards Elaire here. If for no other reason, not to, make you feel bad, but the Chiefs are probably going to be winning fairly comfortably in this one.
Maybe.
Which means they could run more, although we've seen with Andy Reid, when you got Patrick Mahomes, you just say screw it and you throw the ball against everybody, because why wouldn't you? So I'm going to give Edwards Elaire the slight edge.
Look, I'm a realistic Dolphins fan. It's been a while. I don't expect them to win this game. Trust me. So I could be. It's just we've seen even when the game script is totally in their favor, sometimes they're just let's just pass it all game. So it's just hard. With Conner, it's interesting because he's coming off of COVID, like you said, hasn't played the whole past week, or wasn't practicing before that. But Benny Snell, it was so bad. I feel like they're not even going to try to give him the ball. So I feel like Conner at least will be the guy there.
Yeah, that's true. All right, live creation. Start Brady or Deshaun Watson without Cooks and Fuller?
It's got to be Brady.
Yeah, the matchup's too good. Don't take the risk with Watson having a bad game without his weapons. All right, a non-rye, half PPR. Hilton or Kiki Kuti at his flex? Or her flex?
Same answer. It's got to be Kuti. I think I had Kuti a little bit higher already anyways. In fact, I could be wrong remembering what I said on my video this past week, but I think I had Kuti higher in the wide receiver waiver wire rankings too. So I'm going to stick with it. Definitely now. Kuti higher than Hilton.
Kuti for me now is like a top 24 wide receiver. Because I talked about it. Chicago's defense has not been good against wide receivers the last 5 games. So, true. And Buster Skrine, who is usually the slot corner, who's terrible, is out. So it's even a bigger bump for him. Okay, Jabri. These were both of our must-start tight ends. Ibron or Hunter Henry?
I think based on the matchup, you have to go with Henry because I think it's held true almost all year that Atlanta is the worst defense against tight ends. So I'm going to have to go with Hunter Henry.
Yeah, I'm obviously going to go with Hunter Henry. He's my must-start. And I talked about it on the video. If you didn't watch it, throw out last week. New England, for whatever reason, does great against tight ends. That defense always is good against tight ends. The 2 weeks before that, he was great. I think he'll be great this week. All right, Michael Wagner, full PPR, needs points for playoffs, as we all do, Michael. Miles Sanders, James Conner, J.K. Dobbins, McKissick, Juju, or Corey Davis?
Just one?
Yeah, and to me, there's only 2 choices here, but let's hear what you have to say. To me, there's only 2 choices.
Man, okay. Yeah, and I get it because there's a lot of formats. Like there's a couple leagues I'm in where it's like a point style tournament, top 2 advance. It's not a head-to-head matchup. So you want to have that safe floor for sure. Okay. There are a lot of names there. I think Connor was one, right? And we could probably cross him out.
Connor, Dobbins. Are we playing Dobbins?
I kind of like Dobbins this week, but not better than some of those other guys that were mentioned. So
are we playing Sanders this week? Miles Sanders this week?
I'm not touching Sanders. There's no way.
Are we playing Juju this week? Juju with his negative 20 ADOT. Are we playing Juju with the 0?
Yeah, he's not a bad start, but no, I still like the last guy better.
So to me, it's between McKissick and Corey Davis.
Yeah, and then that's just floor ceiling, but still, how high is the floor for Corey Davis this week? It's pretty high, so I feel like it's got to be Corey Davis.
Yeah, it's Corey Davis. Like McKissick has a super high floor, but so does Corey Davis, and he has a way higher ceiling. Way higher ceiling.
Here's the thing: how many touchdowns has McKissick scored this year?
One?
Has he scored this year?
Does he have any?
I think he has 1 touchdown all season. So. Yeah.
And he's not going to get like 20 carries. Like that's Peyton Barber is going to get the carries. He's going to get.
Yeah, exactly. Peyton Barber will score a touchdown with like 5 yards, but McKissick will get 10 catches for like 38 yards, but no touchdown.
Yeah. All right. We did this one, Gronk or Ibron. It's Ibron. K. Ragu, Drake or Terry McLaurin?
Wow. Now that is actually really interesting because I know I have said on record that Terry McLaurin is a top 10 every week wide receiver. And Chris, a known Kenyon Drake hater, well, no, not hater, dissenter, or you're just not a fan, right? But I like Kenyon Drake this week. I'm down on Terry this week, honestly, because San Francisco's defense is looking back to like the way it was last year, and they got Richard Sherman back. But I know they're going to have to pass the ball a ton. This is tough for me just because I happen to like Drake this week for reasons I explained on the running back video. I'm going to guess you go with Terry, and I might lean that way too, though. What do you think, though?
Yeah, and first of all, I don't dislike Drake. I don't dislike – well, there's a couple players I dislike because of who they
– in fantasy, in fantasy.
Yeah. It's the situations. Look, I didn't like Drake before the draft. I didn't like Drake early in the season, but things have changed. He's getting receptions. He's getting more work. But that being said, he's still not racking up the yardage, right? He's still not topping like 50, 60 rushing yards. He's not catching, 10 passes. He's catching like 2 or 3 or 4. So I like McLaurin. Unless it's standard scoring, he didn't specify, then I would lean Drake. Otherwise, I like McLaurin. But
It's a good point. If it's non-PPR, then yeah, I would stick with Drake, but I'm going to give the edge to McLaurin. Even though I'm kind of down on him compared to most weeks, and I'm higher on Drake compared to most weeks, I still think McLaurin's the better pick. But that's tough for me.
SPQ Loud, Matt Ryan or Phillip Rivers?
I'm going with Phillip Rivers. I don't think it's a bad spot for him, and he's been on fire lately. He's thrown at least 285 yards, I think, for 4 games in a row. So I'm keeping it safe. I'm going with Rivers.
This one's tough because Rivers is can always put up a dud, right? On any given week, Rivers can go out there and do nothing. But Matt Ryan, no Julio, even though I do like the matchup a little better. I don't want to make this choice. I would hate to have to make this choice.
You said it. You said Matt Ryan without Julio. He's just an average quarterback.
Okay, Rivers, but I don't feel great about it. Like they could both get you 10 points. Like it could be like right then you could be looking back going like, it didn't really matter. They both were terrible. But
well, and if it helps too with Rivers going against the Raiders kind of just struggling in general lately. But Jeff Heath, the safety, he's out. I think he's on IR, in fact, and he's been one of their leading as far as interceptions. He's I think got 3 picks. He's out, so it might make life a little easier for Rivers not to get picked off.
That's true, but I could see this being one of those weeks where they score 3 touchdowns and they're all they're all rushing touchdowns.
That's true
against the Raiders. So tough one there. Sven one, FR Vila, rank them. That might Sven one, FR Vila. That might take a little while. Why don't you ask us that in the Discord server and we'll rank them for you? But I don't want to miss out on start sit questions. If you want to know which ones I would play, so let's do this for him. Okay, who do you think would get the most points out of Ridley, Michael Thomas, Deontay Johnson, Kiki, or AJ Brown?
Kiki, just one.
Well, who do you think will score the most points?
Out of
one
those
of us to
guys,
rank them, but we don't have time to rank all those guys. So let's just pick the one you think will get the most points out of those guys.
My top 2 would be Ridley or AJ Brown. Ridley's the safer play. AJ Brown could go off, so I would. Oh man, how do I have him ranked? I'll say AJ Brown, but Ridley is number 2.
Yeah, I agree. It's those 2 guys. Ridley safer, but AJ Brown, we saw he can play 60 yards to the house and have a huge game. So, Novo T Swerve, Aguilar, AB, Crowder, not Crowder. We talked about the injury. Don't play him. So it's Aguilar, AB. Pretty sure I know where you're going here and where I'm going.
I'm going crazy this week. I'm going to AB as a top 15 wide receiver. So it's AB all the way.
I'm not quite that high on him, but I'm much higher on AB than Aguilar. So definitely AB here. Scar17S. Good morning, guys. Good morning. Welcome back. Good to see you. Jonnu Smith or Dallas Goddard?
It's got to be Goddard there. I know I have some issues, some concerns with him, but not trusting Jonnu Smith.
Yeah, I agree. Just roll with Goddard. Bob Duncan. Okay, I see we're going to get a lot of Kyler Murray and Tom Brady questions today. So he asks, Kyler Murray or Tom Brady?
I mean, I know it's tough to bench Kyler Murray, but Tom Brady, we've seen it a couple times this year. He's had a 5-touchdown game. He could. I'm not saying he's going to, but I really love him in this matchup, so I'm going Brady.
Yeah, this is one time where I think you can bench Kyler Murray, just given his struggles recently with the shoulder. Tom Brady is such a good matchup. I think you can feel good starting Brady over him. Bozo Bob Wart 333. All right. Raheem Mostert or Kareem Hunt, normal league. I'm not sure what that means. Standard scoring, maybe? Normal league? I don't know.
Probably standard, I'm guessing. So if that's the case, that would, bump Hunt down a little bit. But I would still go Hunt. I know he hasn't done much lately. I know it's not a great matchup, but I'm down on Mostert this week.
Man, I'm down on both these guys this week. But I will take Hunt just because we know he is going to get goal line carries, even though Baltimore does not give up many touchdowns to running backs. Maybe he sneaks one in anyways. So I'll give him the slight edge. Colin Casey, starting Tyreek and Ridley. Okay. Choose between Evans and McLaurin, full PPR.
Ooh, now that is tough because I have no idea where to put Evans this week. I was ready to scratch him, and I was kind of hoping he would just be out because then AB would really smash along with Godwin, and it would just make things easier. So Evans has been limited in practice, right, with a hamstring, and we've seen what happens this year when he plays and he's not 100%. He could just do nothing, but the matchup is so good, you kind of can't keep him out of your lineup. So I feel like you kind of can't miss out on Evans if he does score, because there's a good chance he'll score. And I'm kind of down on Mclaurin, but man, I don't know. I hate to do it, but I always feel like you have to put Evans in instead of Mclaurin.
Ooh, I mean, this is tough, but like you said, I am worried about the hamstring. I'm worried about him not being 100%. I know he has a chance to score a touchdown every week, but I'd rather have Mclaurin. I feel like they're going to have to throw the ball. And that means Mclaurin, because it's Mclaurin and McKissick and maybe some Logan Thomas. That's pretty much it, right? So I feel a little bit better about McLaurin here. But I do feel good about Evans. If he was 100%, I'd feel better about him. I'm just a little nervous about that hammy. So, and don't forget, guys, if you just joined us, I put a link to the Discord server pinned at the top of the comments. So if we don't get to your comment, you can always ask it in there. And again, if we're helping you guys out, just hit that subscribe button. That is all we ask. All right, Colin Casey. Oh, sorry, we just did that one. Sam Rosenbaum. How are you guys? We're good. I hope you're good as well. You're good, right, PR? Are you good, PR?
Hey, I'm good. It's a Sunday with football. I mean, what could be better? Looking forward to enjoying my day off with the playoff buys I have.
Nice. Always playoff bye.
I think that's one league I have a bye. I don't know.
All right, for PPR, Mike Davis, Antonio Brown, or Perryman. Not Crowder, because we talked about Crowder. So Mike Davis, Antonio Brown, or Perryman, full PPR.
I love Perryman this week. Talked about Crowder and Mims are out, and it's against Seattle. So Perryman could smash, but AB could also smash. So I've got to go with AB, sticking to my guns.
Yeah, I think I like Mike Davis if you just want like a safe floor, because I think with no DJ Moore, he'll see more work in the passing game. But if you want that upside, Antonio Brown, definitely. All right, dollar bill DDB. Sorry for the QB question. It's all right, guys. We don't mind QB.
No,
we don't mind QB questions.
I like the variety. I want to, it's like not just running back and wide receiver. Give us some kicker questions. I mean, come on.
All right, he needs two of these guys, and he gets a 10-point bonus at 300 yards. Tannehill, Taysom Hill, or Matt Ryan.
Can't be Matt Ryan. I mean, I actually, you know what?
Well, the
300-yard bonus
for 300 yards?
Yeah.
Because we know Taysom Hill's not throwing for 300 yards. That's a guarantee.
Right. Man. But that does change things. But Tannehill could go for 300 yards, and he's got the highest floor. I would stick with Tannehill.
Yeah.
But that's interesting with Ryan versus Taysom Hill. He might actually be the a little riskier pick, but that might be interesting. But I would stick with Tannehill.
Yeah, definitely Tannehill. I think for sure he can throw for 300 yards, and he has a ton of upside. I think I would go Matt Ryan here, because if he I know Taysom Hill can run for 50 yards and a touchdown, but if Matt Ryan gets you 10 extra points for 300 yards, I mean, he doesn't even need to do that much outside of that. So it's close. I mean, this definitely bumps Ryan way up, having a 10-point bonus at 300 yards, because he might throw for 300 yards and no touchdowns, but it's okay because you get a free 10 points.
Yeah, that's interesting. We're hearing these bonuses. I mean, we played in the league. I think last year's Scott Fishbowl did have all these landmark bonuses, but 10 points, that's a huge one for 300 yards. And that's the thing, because of the matchup, right? The Chargers definitely could give up 300 passing yards, but to me, I mean, against Jacksonville, I could see Tannehill. I know he doesn't do it very often, but still, it's just too good of a matchup.
No, I'm with you on Tannehill. You got to pick two of these guys. He needs two.
Okay.
So Tannehill, I'm with you. So it's between Ryan and Taysom Hill, and I think I go Matt Ryan just because of that 300-yard bonus.
Yeah, if you're going with two quarterbacks, I kind of agree. Yeah. Because Taysom Hill is not going to pass the ball that much, right? He's definitely
not hitting 300 yards passing. No way.
It's the question is his ability of getting rushing touchdowns going to outweigh the potential for the 300 yards? But no, I think I'd stick with you. I think I'd go Ryan as my second choice. Yeah, just you're looking for that bonus.
I mean, if Ryan throws 300 yards and 1 touchdown, we're talking about what? That's 12 points. That's 22 points right there. So that's assuming he only throws 1. If he throws 2, it definitely that bonus definitely closes it up. It would normally be Taysom Hill, no doubt about it, but that bonus definitely closes it up. All right, Gene Bernardo, Zach Moss or Kareem Hunt. Wow.
Definitely down on Hunt, but yeah, you can't start Zach Moss. Moss is not startable.
Yeah, I don't like Hunt this week, but I like him more than Zach Moss. So play Kareem Hunt.
Yeah.
All right, Ronnie Daniel, morning fellas. I have a tough one for you. DK Metcalf. Yeah, you have a tough one because they're all insanely good. What leagues are you guys in where you can't start one of these guys? DK, Ridley, or Thielen? He needs 2.
Man,
like where?
Yeah, you're gonna win this week.
Yeah, it doesn't even matter. Just flip 2 coins or whatever, and pick 2 and win your league and move on to next week. But whatever.
You have to start DK against the Jets. He's the top choice for me, and I would go Ridley.
Yeah, I think it's DK and Ridley as well. But all 3 are good. I like all 3 this week. Frankie 14 thought. Here we go. This is an interesting one. Now, this would really help us. This is where we have to know, guys, if it's PPR or standard scoring. But McKissick or Josh Jacobs? He did not specify PPR or standard. And it definitely matters in this case. 100% matters.
And it's crazy because I was ready to not even have Jacobs anywhere on the radar or in my rankings. And now all of a sudden we got to put him in. Like, where do we plug him in? Because the Colts, again, one of the best defenses in the league. But unless Gruden is really just a huge filthy liar and he's going to have Jacobs out there dressing and just not give him the ball, like he's really hurt and they're just using him as a decoy, you got to think he's going to get the work. He's got the touchdown upside. I don't love him this week, but I probably have to have him higher, I would think, because even in full PPR, I mean, Jacobs does get some receptions. I don't know. I
think for me, this is totally dependent on scoring. If it's full PPR, I like McKissick because we've seen in games, even when Antonio Gibson was healthy there, but he wasn't getting quite the run he got the last few weeks, McKissick was getting like 7-8 catches, right? 10 catches last week. So I like him in PPR. In standard scoring, definitely Jacobs. Or even in half PPR, definitely Jacobs. Full PPR, I would go McKissick. I do think Jacobs is going to get the work, but ankle injury, tough matchup. Raiders offense, I don't expect to do much this week. So I'm not as high on him as I normally would. So,
if it's standard, it has to be Jacobs. PPR, I could see a case for McKissick. I mean, but...
All right, Brazil bread, Dallas Goddard or your boy Mike Gesicki.
Well, I already kind of talked about how I feel with Goddard's a little risky, so I'd go Gesicki because again, Dolphins pretty thin on receivers, and you're gonna have to pass the ball. I would assume a lot this week, so I'm going Gesicki.
Yeah, this is tough for me. It's really close. You know what? I'm playing against Gesicki, so I'm going to go with him because he'll probably score a touchdown last week like Jared Cook did for the first time in a year. All right. And then he also asked Terry McLaurin or Chris Godwin.
For me, it's Godwin.
Oh, man. See this? I feel like I can't bench McLaurin. I know Godwin has a great matchup.
I wouldn't bench him, but if you got Chris Godwin, I can't bench Godwin against Minnesota. So it's tough, right? Because Godwin is one of 3 really good receivers on Tampa Bay, where McLaurin's like the only guy, right, in Washington, and they're going to have to pass the ball a lot. But
that's what makes it tough for me, because it could be like an Evans AB game, could be a Godwin game, could be a Ronald Jones game. Like, you never know in Tampa Bay, right? You never know in Tampa Bay.
Let me tell you, because I'm looking right now as we go through this, I kind of always check my rankings. I just saw that Leonard Fournette is out, so it could be a Ronald Jones game.
Well, I haven't seen that. I have not seen that. Well, that definitely. I'm
gonna try to verify. I mean, that's not a huge deal because I don't think anybody was playing Leonard Fournette anyways. But Ronald Jones is almost a must start. I mean, he's a high-end running back anyways. But yeah.
No, you were right.
Ronald Jones.
Buccaneers declared Leonard Fournette out. Wow. Okay. I'm gonna go with Terry McLaurin. I think he's gonna get all the targets. He can, he's got touchdown upside. I know Godwin does too, but that's just me. It's close though. That's such a good matchup for Godwin. All right, Dylan 3K. Here we go. Adrian Peterson and DeAndre Swift. Man.
Peterson. I don't feel good about Swift getting any touches.
I know. It's funny. I think you might have asked this question on our start sit video, and I wrote on there, my answer was, man, this is really a tough position to be in, because if you bench Swift for Peterson and Swift gets like all the touches, you're going to be sick to your stomach when you get eliminated from fantasy football playoffs. But at the same time, I don't feel good about Swift getting all the touches. I feel it's going to be like a committee. I don't feel like Swift's going to be, and we know Adrian Peterson can get the goal line work. So, man, this is just a horrible spot to be in. I wish you just had one other option so I could say that guy. Such a bad spot.
Yeah, I really wouldn't be surprised if Swift came in on like 2 or 3 series. Like he gets a few touches and that's it. I think they're really going to slow play him because of all the issues. And I mean, why do they need to roll him out there? They're not fighting to make the playoffs this year. So I feel like they're just going to be careful. Adrian Peterson hasn't been bad this last couple of weeks, so I feel like they're just going to let him kind of be the guy.
Yeah, and we know he scored touchdowns. So, all right, Makani Painson. Corey Davis. Well, here we go. We just announced Leonard Fournette out. So Corey Davis or Ronald Jones, full PPR.
I mean, we both love Corey Davis this week, and you have to. But I'm gonna stick with Ronald Jones.
Wait, what? Ronald Jones? Oh, I can't. I got to go Corey Davis. I know it's a good matchup. I know Leonard Fournette. I know he's going to get the touches, but man, Maybe I'm just too. I was so excited about Corey Davis last week, and he crushed it so much that I'm too excited about him. I mean, Ronald Jones certainly becomes a way stronger play now because it's going to be all his backfield. But I am also worried that this is just one of those games where Brady throws the ball 40 plus times.
True. I mean, that definitely could happen, but they're both good choices. We'll put it that way. They're both really good choices. Yes. I feel again, this is kind of floor ceiling. Ronald Jones is a safe play because he's going to get all the touches, and it's a pretty good matchup. But Davis against Jacksonville, he could crush like last week, I guess.
But even Davis, I don't think people realize, because I was looking at this, and I don't want to spend too much time on this because I know we got a lot of questions, but Corey Davis has an incredible – his lowest scoring game this year was 10 points in Week 12 against Indy. In full PPR. He's gone double digits in every single game. So he has a really nice floor too. It's not like he doesn't have a good floor. So like you said, they're both great plays. I just personally love the upside of Corey Davis in this one.
Yeah.
They're both good.
The only thing you maybe could say is a concern, which hasn't been, is Jacksonville, if they're just getting crushed, right? Because obviously they're terrible and Tennessee is on fire lately, that maybe they just don't need to throw the ball much in the second half. Jacksonville has kept it close, right? With Glennon, they've actually scored some points and they've done a decent job, but that is a possibility that this week Jacksonville just rolls over.
And Tennessee's defense is so bad, I don't think they can put Jacksonville away, but we'll see.
That is true.
All right, here's one. Here we go. We got to move on. We got a lot of questions. Here's one for you. Tommy Wilson, Gio or DeAndre Washington? Here we go.
Oh, man. And here's when I feel like we might, and again, okay, so I hate this because I have my rankings in front of me. I just say my rankings. I'm on Fantasy Pros and one of the expert rankers on there, and so I have to adjust these as we go. So I'm looking. I literally have them right here. I got Gio Bernard and I got DeAndre Washington.
Yep.
I have Gio. Huh?
No, go ahead.
I have Gio one spot higher because of the matchup. Because I know Gio has done nothing lately, but it's Dallas. And like you said, DeAndre Washington, what's really his upside, right?
Yeah, I know. I knew that you were going to have them super close in your rankings. To me, these guys are like neck and neck.
Yeah.
It's probably going to come down to, does one guy score a touchdown or not? If neither one scores a touchdown, they're probably going to score similar points. But I also would slightly lean Gio just because that matchup is so good. That Dallas defense is so bad. All right, Felix Antoine Bouchard. Mike Evans or Mike Davis in his flex?
Ooh, well, Davis is definitely the safer play, but Evans, I mean, has got a great chance to score this week. It's hard to get excited about Mike Davis, just because he hasn't been what did I think I quoted this in one of the shows we did. Mike Davis's actual fantasy finishes, because Christian McCaffrey hadn't played before that one game. He has only been a top 20 running back in PPR leagues once over the past 7 games.
Yeah, and that was Detroit.
And that was Detroit, which is the worst defense. So you just can't get that excited. To me, the upside, I know Evans is risky. He's always risky, but this matchup, I would go with Evans.
Yeah, unless your team is just stacked and you don't want to run the risk of Evans going out there and the hamstring tightening up and him limping off the field, and you want the safety of Davis, because I do think Davis has a nice floor this week with DJ Moore out. I think he'll catch a few passes. But Evans, way more upside. So certainly I would prefer Evans in a bubble. All right, Harry Baller. I think we know where we're going. Well, maybe not. Kuti, T.Y. Hilton, or Perryman, full PPR.
Love Perryman, but you got to go with Kuti, right? Out of those 3, he's just the highest floor and ceiling, I think.
Yeah, they're both like basically the number 1 receiver on the team, but one guy has Sam Darnold throwing him the ball, and one guy has Deshaun Watson throwing him the ball.
Yep.
There you go. All right, Kale Gaming TV. Chase Claypool, Mostert, or McKissick, PPR.
I haven't heard Chase Claypool yet today. He's kind of boom bust, right? I don't know how you always exactly rank him because you just never know. To me, I would probably stick with McKissick because I'm down on Mostert this week.
I mean, again, this comes down to floor versus ceiling again. McKissick has a safe floor in PPR because we know he's catching 5 to 6 passes minimum. But Claypool has so much upside that if I don't need like the super safe floor where I have like this stacked team and I'm just trying to fill my flex and not take 2 points or something, I got to start Claypool. Like you said, you talked about Big Ben throwing the ball 40, 50 times. I got to go with Claypool here. I feel like just because he had a couple down games, which is to be expected, people are like off him now, but he still has tons and tons of upside. So.
Yeah, and I feel like that's kind of how I feel exactly. The last couple of games, he hasn't done much. And so I'm wondering, the targets are going mainly toward Juju and Deontay Johnson, not getting a ton of yards, but still, I feel like Claypool's just a little too big play dependent. But again, that's the floor ceiling debate. Like, McKissick's probably not going to score a touchdown, and Claypool definitely could. But, Claypool could get you a couple of points. McKissick should get you double-digit points. So,
McKissick,
how you feel.
McKissick and PPR is getting you 10 to 15 max. Like, right. We know that's it. Claypool could get you 20 plus, or he could get you like 4 to 5.
Right.
All right, Norton Morais, pick 2, full PPR. Man, we are getting a lot of Mike Evans questions. Evans, Robbie Anderson, Corey Davis, pick 2, full PPR.
In that case, I'm actually going to go with the other 2.
I agree. Robbie Anderson and Corey Davis, great plays this week. Oh, sweet Lou, how can you ask this question? My sweet Lou, because as somebody who has Josh Allen, this pains me. Josh Allen or Deshaun Watson?
I mean, you feel like it's not a great matchup, but it's got to be Josh Allen this week, don't you think?
Yeah, I mean, people were like going, oh, San Francisco, that defense is healthy. That defense is so good. And he went out there and dropped 30 on them.
Yep.
Like, it's not a great matchup, but I'll still take Josh Allen over Deshaun Watson, especially with Brandon Cooks out. Blake Ashby student. Here we go. This one is as somebody who also has Kamara and CMC. This is so painful. Kamara or Michael Thomas at his flex. This is terrible.
Kamara or no, that's interesting. I know Michael Thomas has been pretty involved, but I feel like you got to stick with Kamara because I feel like that it's just safer. His involvement in the offense, right? I feel like Kamara is a little bit better of a choice.
I don't know. I like Thomas. I know his 2 big games were against Atlanta. Well, that Denver game, they barely threw the ball. He had like 42% of the targets. Like Taysom Hill is going to throw it to Michael Thomas, and guess what? He's not going to throw it to Alvin Kamara. So I got to go with Michael Thomas. I mean, I know Alvin Kamara.
Did you say it's PPR?
He didn't say. I mean, I know Alvin Kamara bounced back last week. That's because he had one good run. I mean, look, Alvin Kamara is a great player. He had one nice run, and he had a touchdown. If he doesn't score a touchdown, well, he's getting you like 10 points. It sucks, but it's just the way it is with Taysom Hill. It's terrible, but it's where we're at.
Yeah. Okay. So I know what you're saying. With Taysom Hill, Michael Thomas has been better. To me, I'm thinking game flow. Again, maybe this is to me just thinking Philadelphia is not going to do much this week. Again, I like Hurts, the player. I just don't like this whole Philly offense. Their offensive line is just decimated, and I don't feel like Hurts is just coming in and smash. So I feel like New Orleans isn't going to really need to pass the ball very much. I think that they're going to keep the ball more on the ground. I feel like Kamara is probably going to be more involved. That's my gut feel.
We'll see. Philly also really good against the run, not so good against pass. So also works in. But we'll see. Oh, Sweet Lou also asks Marvin Jones or Juju?
Who would have thought we'd be asking? You don't love Juju, but I still have him a little bit higher.
I don't know. I think I go Marvin Jones here. Juju has no upside. None. 84 yards over the last 3 games. What is that? Austin Eckler gets that in 1 game, and he's a running back, right? Christian McCaffrey
Alvin Kamara used to get that in
1 game. Alvin Kamara, when Drew Brees plays, gets that in 1 game. That's his last 3 games receiving yards, 84. At least Marvin Jones will catch the ball past the line of scrimmage. Might score a I got to go Marvin Jones.
Yeah. If Marvin Jones does something, he'll do something, right?
Yes.
Or he'll do nothing. Juju, I guess to me, I'm thinking the touchdown upside at least is there for Juju. Marvin Jones, could be a game he gets shut out just because of Alexander.
I just can't start Juju. Can't sit there and watch him catch 5 passes for 30 yards. Can't do it.
But Juju's my boy. I'll always be on Juju.
He's my boy too. But look, it's like with Kenyon Drake. You can't have boys. You got to be willing to look at the situation.
I know. But at least Juju, he's getting targeted. He's getting receptions. I mean, I know his A-dot is 2, but still.
So he gets you 7 catches for 30 yards. That's literally what he's averaging right now. Terrible. It's horrible. It sucks, but it's what it is. So, all right, Anthony Gomez, flex play, Mostert or Swift? Oh man.
To me, I don't like Mostert, but I would still stick with him. Again, I'm off of Swift this week. I can't trust him.
Yeah, 2 banged up guys, but at least we know Mostert will get half the snaps. So I think you got to go with Mostert. But yeah, I agree. Not a good spot to be in. Sorry for you. All right, Chuck Hetzel, non-PPR flex, Gurley, Jacobs, or Amari Cooper?
I'd stick with Cooper. I feel pretty good about Cooper this week. It's the Andy Dalton revenge game.
Even in standard scoring?
Yeah, I think Cooper's gonna. I mean, really, you're hoping they all have a touchdown upside, right? Jacobs probably the lowest because he's banged up and against the Colts, so I would drop him to 3rd. Gurley could always score, but he could also exit the game with an injury. His knee has been bothering him. So yeah, I actually really like Cooper this week.
All right, Abraham Green, Mostert, getting a lot of Mostert questions. Debo or Ayuk, half PPR?
I'm sticking with one of the receivers, and to me, again, I kind of feel Ayuk this week.
Yeah, I like Ayuk a lot this week. It's Ayuk for me. Nick R, Justin Jefferson or Terry McLaurin?
I know where I'm leaning. I'm gonna let you answer first.
This is one time where I'm benching Terry McLaurin. Give me Justin Jefferson. Tampa Bay, not good against the pass right now. And if they single cover him with Davis, we saw what Tyreek Hill did to him. I'm not saying that Justin Jefferson has that speed, but he's good enough that he can have a big game. I think Justin Jefferson right now is like an every week must start. Every week must start. Every week.
And I mean, McLaurin is also, every week a must start. There's some guys you think are typically a must start, but yeah, Jefferson and Jamel Dean, who's been their best corner, is out. And Davis, like you said, he seemed to be overachieving the first half of the year, and he just got toasted. So yeah, Jefferson could just absolutely kill it this week.
Yeah. McCrowler XD. Hey, welcome back, buddy. Good to see you. Gronk or Ibron? We actually answered that one earlier. It's Ibron.
Gronk's not a bad start.
Yeah, Higgins or AB. Now, I'm assuming you're talking about T. Higgins, although it could be Rashard Higgins after his monster game last week. But I'm assuming you mean T. T. Higgins, I know, is kind of questionable. He's banged up. And we both really like AB, so I think it's AB, right?
Yeah, Higgins was questionable, but I think I saw that he is going to play. But Yeah, I love AB this week. You got to stick with him.
Just play with the guy with the better quarterback and who's not banged up. And then Ty Johnson or Gio Bernard.
I said it before. I know he's going to be hotness on the waiver wire this week, and I have zero faith in Ty Johnson. He's just a guy who came into a situation, had a nice game. No, I'm not starting Ty Johnson. I know you can't be crazy about Gio, but he's actually got a good matchup at least.
Yeah, I agree. Don't love Ty Johnson. Don't really love Gio this week, but that matchup is really good, so roll him out there. I think we did this one already too. Evans or Mclaurin. We did that one, right?
Yeah, I think we split the difference on that one, but it just depends how much faith you have in Mike Evans. Which again, to me, I don't, because I have him in a couple of leagues, and I mean, it's terrible to see him get 2 catches for 30 yards, and of course, one of them is a touchdown, or that he does nothing and then he misses. He's the most frustrating player, at least one of the most frustrating players to have. But if he's good to go, this matchup is just too good.
All right, DTB 04, Jacobs or Swift?
It's got to be Jacobs for me.
Yeah, we've talked about Swift. Can't trust him. Avi codes, Drake or Ronald Jones?
Well, okay, so I was on Drake this week. I'm still on Drake this week, but I had Ronald Jones higher from the beginning, and now with Fournette out, yeah, you got to go with Jones.
Yeah, definitely. With Fournette out, you gotta play him. Jade Webb, another QB question: Rivers, Bridgewater, or Mitch Trubisky?
I am not a Trubisky hater. I will just go on the record as saying I know he's not the greatest at reading his different levels of the field, but still, it is a great matchup for him. But I'm not starting him. I'm not starting him over those guys. I'd stick with Rivers.
Yeah, I think out of that bunch, it's Rivers. I don't feel great about any of those guys, but Rivers have been playing really well. Good matchup. I'll take him.
Yeah.
Caleb Masari, standard scoring, start 2 out of Josh Jacobs, Melvin Gordon, J.K. Dobbins, Robbie Anderson.
Robbie Anderson in a great spot. We both love him this week. Standard scoring, he's maybe you lean toward the running back. I think I would keep him in there, though, before we get to the running backs. Do you think you would keep him in there?
Robbie Anderson?
Yeah.
I worry about him a little bit in standard. I know he could score a touchdown, but over those guys, yeah, I'd keep him in.
And then I do like Dobbins in general down the stretch. I don't love him as much this week. I think he's going to be the guy. I don't think it's not a great matchup, but I'd not start him over those. I'm going to have to go with Gordon just because we know Carolina's run defense is, and he looked really good against Kansas City where we didn't expect him to.
Yeah, I agree. Anderson and Gordon. All right, Reese and Zalone. And I'm going to let you take this one because I got to take a quick break. Yeah. So take this one real quick. Draw it out a little bit if you need to. Reese and Zalone. Godwin, Ayuk, or Melvin Gordon. Pick one in PPR. And I'll be right back. Did you got
Godwin, that? Ayuk, or Melvin Gordon?
Yes, Godwin, Ayuk, Melvin Gordon. PPR. Pick one.
PPR. Okay, so for PPR, so the quick answer is I like Godwin. Even though Ayuk, we said he's in a good spot. The question is how much is San Fran going to really have to pass the ball going against Washington without Antonio Gibson? So I do like Ayuk to make a big play or two. I think he's going to be their guy, but I don't think I could go with him over Gordon, who again is on a team where they should be able to establish the run. Carolina's run defense has been pretty bad all year. I know PPR, you think, well, maybe you lean towards a receiver. But in general, you want to go with who has the highest upside, especially this week. Godwin, to me, is still the guy just because I like his involvement in terms of being his. Minnesota's secondary is terrible, right? We know that. So he's going to be, oh, good, you're back. No.
Where are we at? Who do we pick?
I think I gave the short answer that it was Godwin, right?
Yeah, I think so. It's Chris Godwin as well.
Yeah, no, Godwin I have as a top 10 receiver. It's that simple. It's a great matchup. He's, Ayuk is in a good spot, but in PPR, I would still lean towards him.
All right, Nicholas Grenier, and thanks for covering for me. Confidence level in Deandre Washington. Basically, he wants to know in standard scoring, can he get 8 to 12 points?
In standard scoring?
So can he get 80 yards and or a touchdown?
He could. Do I feel confident? My confidence level is maybe like a 7 out of 10,
Yeah.
maybe 6. That's the thing is, I mean, what's his involvement in the red zone going to be? I don't think. I think they're. What do they do? What do the Dolphins do? As someone who watches the Dolphins every week, what do they do when they get to the red zone? They throw to the tight ends. So I like Gesicki. I would say Adam Shaheen has just as good a chance to get a touchdown to Deandre Washington because they throw it to him in the end zone, and of course Devontae Parker. So I don't feel great, but I think there's a decent chance he could get that many points.
Yeah, I agree. Like 60% chance he gets it. All right, Jessica Bell. Welcome back, Jessica. Good to see you. McKissick or Ronald? Well, this is easy now. McKissick or Ronald Jones?
Yeah, I still had Jones higher. Like McKissick, but Jones, I mean, I'm coming around. I was a big fan of Fournette this year. I had my doubts about Ronald Jones. He's the guy. I mean, he is. He's been great. So you got to start him.
Yeah, especially with Fournette out now.
Yeah.
And then Hopkins or Robbie Anderson in half PPR.
That is surprisingly tough. Honestly, I mean, here we are. No, I dropped Hopkins, and he's been banged up this week too, right? As far as practice.
Yeah, but he practiced fully Friday. He should be good to go.
But he's going to get some James Bradbury in this game, and we're a little bit down on that offense. I honestly have Robbie Anderson one spot higher.
I can't bench Hopkins. Not for as somebody who has Robbie Anderson. And every week you look at the rankings and it's like, oh, Robbie Anderson's ranked as his top 15 wide receiver. And then he goes out there and gets you like 60 yards. I feel like the perception of Robbie Anderson is greater than the reality. So I can't bench Hopkins I know it's a tough matchup and I know Kyler Murray hasn't been as good. But I can't do it in the must-win buys. Can't do it personally.
I know it is tough though. And the reason I do is because not just that DJ Moore is out, but also Denver, like we said, they're missing everybody in their secondary. Like all their cornerbacks are hurt. So it could be really easy. And without McCaffrey, I feel like Anderson could have a huge game. And I just don't feel like the ceiling is as high for Hopkins. But I know it's really tough because we always say that, oh, he could have a down game. And then Hopkins has, 50 something yards and a touchdown and he had 8 catches. So he still is, exactly. You're good either way.
Yeah. That's true. They're both good plays this week. So it's not like two bad players. G Ratty, half point PPR, pick 2. Pick 2 wide receivers and 1 flex. Debo, Curtis Samuel, Devontae Parker, Chase Claypool, Todd Gurley, Kiki Kuti. All right. So I think we both agree Kuti has to be in your lineup, right?
Yes. I have Kuti higher than a couple of those guys.
There's 1 wide receiver. What about Parker, Claypool, or Debo Samuel? Who would be your other wide receiver? I think you froze. All right. Oh, he's back.
The same way.
He's back. You froze. We lost you. You froze.
Sorry. I was saying I would personally have Claypool last out of that group.
All right. So Parker or Samuel then for your second wide receiver.
So we just finished talking about Denver secondary, right? But how involved is Curtis Samuel going to be versus Parker?
Debo Samuel. Debo Samuel or Devontae Parker.
Debo Samuel. All right, I was thinking Curtis Samuel. Yeah, I have Debo ahead of Devontae Parker just a little bit.
All right, so it's Debo and Kuti for wide receivers. I might lean Parker, but it's close. And then for his flex, Parker, Claypool, or Gurley.
Out of those, I would cut Claypool. So it's either Parker or Gurley. Man, I think I would probably stick with Gurley.
That's tough. I would probably go Kuti, Parker, and Samuel personally, whereas you would go Kuti, Samuel, and Gurley. It's close. It's close because it's half PPR. I think that helps Gurley a little bit and hurts Parker a little bit.
Right.
But it's close. All right. Pablo Rodriguez, pick 3. Diggs, Allen Robinson, A.J. Brown, Chris Godwin, Mike Evans. What in the heck?
Is all these players on one roster?
What the heck? All right. Well, here we go.
Okay. Allen Robinson's a must start.
Yes.
Um,
I think AJ Brown's a must start in this
AJ
matchup.
Brown's a must start, and then I guess Godwin.
You like Godwin more than Diggs? I know it's a tough matchup for Diggs, but still, you like Godwin more than Diggs?
This week I do, yeah.
I can't see. This is another one of those situations where I can't bench Diggs. It might burn me, but I can't bench Diggs. He's been so good, and Josh Allen's been so good. But it is a tough. He does have a really tough matchup this week. So if you want to go with Godwin, I'm okay with that.
Here's the thing: Diggs has the higher floor. Obviously, I don't know if he's still in the lead or always 1 or 2 with Keenan Allen in terms of receptions and targets for the year. Right? He's got the highest floor, but he's not really scoring that many touchdowns. I mean, he's got one touchdown in the last 6 games. Godwin is definitely going to have the higher ceiling in that sense against Minnesota. And the thing is, with that lineup, you don't need to worry too much about floor, right? So that's why I would probably lean towards, because there's a bigger chance Diggs, disappoints, I guess.
That's a fair point. With that lineup, you're not really worried about your floor. So luck is here. Let's hope so. Bench 1. Jeez, what the heck? He's got to bench one of these guys: Justin Jefferson, AJ Brown, Calvin Ridley, or DeAndre Hopkins in full PPR. What the?
That is insane. I really hope it's like an 18 league. To me, it's almost like a no-brainer. It's DeAndre Hopkins, which is crazy.
Yeah, as crazy as it sounds, I think it is Hopkins too, because those 3 guys I love. I think they're all top 10 options, those other 3 guys. So I do think it's Hopkins as well. But again, this is another one of those situations where they're probably all going to be good. So don't worry too much about it.
Hey, congratulations on your victory.
Yeah, exactly. And his name is Luck is here, so it's going to work out. All right. Duber Garzon, start 2, full PPR. Beasley, Kuti, Chark, Hollywood Brown. Start 2.
Ooh. Nah, this is like a real question, because you got to think about this one. And you want to pick right. Kuti is a must start, obviously.
Yeah, Kuti is one of them for sure. So the other choice, it's between Beasley, Chark, and Hollywood Brown.
And I think we probably both agree you can't trust Hollywood Brown.
No.
I would go Beasley. He's going to be more involved, and with John Brown out, he's a pretty steady target for him. Chark, I know the matchup is good, but where has Chark been the last couple of weeks, especially with Glennon at quarterback? He likes Colin Johnson better. I think I actually have Colin Johnson ranked higher than him.
Yeah, I think it's Beasley and Kuti. And going back to your point about Diggs and touchdowns, Beasley's been the touchdown guy, right? He's been like the red zone guy, which is weird to think like a 5'8" player is your red zone guy, but he's been the red zone guy. And Diggs is going to draw the tougher coverage matchups. So I think it's Kuti and Beasley. All right, Luca Falsetto, flex PPR. Duke Johnson, DeAndre Washington, Kuti. Wow, we have gotten a record number of Kuti questions. Or T.Y. Hilton. So I'm assuming you can only pick one of those guys, and I'm assuming I'm waiting for you to say who it is. That's why I'm doing this.
You can only pick one of those?
Yeah. Seems pretty obvious.
Okay, so say Kuti and a bunch of other guys.
Duke Johnson, DeAndre Washington, T.Y. Hilton. Does it matter? It's Kuti.
It doesn't matter. No, Duke Johnson's a no-go anyways. Like I know that David Johnson's out, but just no.
And then Luck is here. Also asked Kareem Hunt. We got this one. Hunt. Did we get this one? Well, I don't know. Hunt or Mostert in full PPR. I'm not sure if we got that one actually.
I feel like we did. It's got to be Hunt, even though it's not a great matchup. We're down on Mostert.
Yeah, and full PPR helps him because he will catch some passes. All right, Christy Dimmery. Thanks a lot, guys. We appreciate you. We appreciate you, actually. Pick 2, please. Pick 2. Evans, Deontay Johnson, Ridley, Deebo Samuel. Got to pick 2 of those.
Ridley. I mean, if Ridley's in there, he's a must, right?
Yeah, Ridley definitely. So it's between Evans, Deontay Johnson, or Deebo. One more.
Man, that's tough. Again, all good options. Out of that group, then I feel like Evans maybe has too much risk, so I would probably scratch him. Do you feel that way?
Yeah. And I feel like Deebo has – I would just go with Deontay Johnson. We know he's going to get the target.
Yeah, I think so.
Like, Evans banged up, Debo banged up. Just go with Deontay Johnson.
Yeah.
We got a kicker question from Dale Jadu. This is Pierre's favorite. Jason Sanders, who's actually been a beast this year, or Justin Tucker, who has not been a beast this year.
Oh, man. Yeah, Justin Tucker actually missed a kick, I think, inside 40 yards for the first time ever. Yeah. Not ever, but for a long time.
No, I think it was his first time in his career, actually.
Was it? Okay. Well, there you go. Yeah, it still has to be Tucker for me. I know just because Sanders, he personally has been great, but you got to think it's about the offense. How easily will they move the ball? How much will they be able to settle for field goals against Kansas City? I just feel like Tucker is going to be on the field more, and he's still the best kicker in the league. So let's just put it that way. So who has a better chance to kick some field goals? It's Tucker.
I don't know. I'm not a kicker guy, but Jason Sanders has been insane this year. I can't bench Jason Sanders. But whatever, it's kickers. Come on. Gus, good morning, buddy. Good to see you. Payo time. Glennon, Murray, or Stafford? Glennon. We got a Mike Glennon question in week 14.
He's doing that just for our benefit. Love Gus. He's definitely one of our most loyal viewers and interacts with us on Twitter. So what is up, Gus?
Well, this is Payo time, but he needs two of these guys.
Okay. So say again, Glennon and who?
Glennon, Kyler Murray, or Stafford.
Okay. So yeah, we're not putting Glennon ahead of anybody, especially those two guys. I think I have still Murray ahead of Stafford. I know Stafford could go for 300 plus yards, but again, that offense is just still kind of a work in progress. They're trying to rebuild and what it is under a new coaching staff. I feel like you got to stick with Murray, even though the matchup is tough.
So Murray and Stafford, you got to pick two.
A pick two? Oh, okay. Well, then it's Murray and Stafford.
Yeah, Murray and Stafford. I'm not starting Mike Glennon in my playoff matchup. No, thank you. All right, Charles Altman, Kuti or Jarvis Landry? Here we go.
I've had a Jarvis Landry question. Landry's been coming on lately, hasn't he? Just when we're ready to back off of him. I don't think you can have him higher than Kuti this week.
No, and I talked about Baker Mayfield and the QB start said I don't like him this week against Baltimore. I expect that passing game to go back to what it's been, which is not very good.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. Robert King, Gio, DeAndre Swift, or Zeke? Who would have thought we'd be ranking Zeke with these guys? Full PPR.
Just one?
I assume just one, yes.
Yeah, so I'm sticking with Zeke. I know he's banged up. I know maybe I'm a little too soft for him just because, but he looked good last week. And, unless you're really worried that he's going to go out with injury, like he's not going to make it through the game, which I don't think.
We lost Pierre again, but I think what he was saying is Zeke. I agree. Zeke. I don't love Zeke, but I like him more than those guys. All right, we lost you, but it was Zeke, right?
Yeah, I got to stick with Zeke.
Yeah. You keep cutting out. I don't know what's going on over there. You got to get off that dial. So. You got to get off that dial-up modem one of these days.
Yeah.
Right. BBVBBVC. There's one for you. AJ Brown or Corey Davis? I actually got this question a lot on the videos. And I love Corey Davis this week, but come on, you got to start AJ Brown. He's the number.
Well, that's the crazy thing. Like you said, on the season, Corey Davis he's outperforming. He's got more yards, got more catches. He's outperforming him. But yeah, I would still stick with Brown.
Yeah, but if you look at last week, AJ Brown had a fumble, and then he fumbled on the 1 yard line. So he could have had. He should have really had a much bigger game than what he had. MCF 1988. Miles Sanders, AB, or McKissick in standard scoring.
All right, sorry. Say it again.
Sanders, Antonio Brown, or McKissick. Standard
Sanders.
scoring.
Miles Sanders? No, I'm off Miles Sanders.
Yeah. And McKissick
scoring
standard is no go.
Yeah, it's got to be Brown.
Even if he catches 10 passes for 70 yards, you're only getting 7 points. So it's Antonio Brown. Agree.
Yeah.
All right, Matt S., another standard league. Pick two, Dobbins, Drake, McKissick, or Debo. Okay, we already said McKissick is a no-go in standard. Right. So Dobbins, Drake, or Debo. Pick two, standard scoring.
I like Drake, and so I stick with him. He always has touchdown upside. He scored touchdowns lately, and with Debo, he's a little less interesting if it's standard, but I still feel better about him than Dobbins.
Yeah, I feel better about look, Dobbins scored that touchdown last week, but he's still stuck in a 3-man RBBC. And even Justice Hill's getting involved a little bit now. So it's almost like a 4-man RBBC. So Abraham Green, Fant or Gesicki half PPR?
That's really close. I think also I have those guys neck and neck. I'm leaning Gesicki.
I mean, I think Gesicki has a better chance for a touchdown, which I guess maybe in standard scoring is what you're looking for. So I'll lean him as well. But it is very close. Very close. Minty memes. Oh, come on. Why would you disrespect my boy Corey Davis like this? DeAndre Swift or Corey Davis?
That's pretty. I think that was just to get a reaction because we've been talking all week about how you can't trust DeAndre Swift and don't play him, and about hyping up Corey Davis after last week, which Chris, you correctly called. He said Davis was going to smash. It was a must start. So hopefully everyone listened to that. But yeah, this is like a softball.
And then Bobby Shmurda, haven't seen you in a couple of weeks. I guess they only let you out of jail every so often to hop onto YouTube to ask fantasy football questions. Will DeAndre Swift be limited in snaps today? I mean, obviously we don't know, but we think he will. Our feeling is that yes, he will. But
that's what we've been talking about. I don't feel like, and they actually have been kind of saying that a limited involvement. Like last week, if he was going to play, it would be limited, and then this week, I don't expect to see very much of him. He could have been, in a smash spot this week, but there's no way I can trust him.
Yeah, Robert King, Kirk Cousins, or Teddy B?
I'm down on Teddy B this week. I know I keep talking about Robbie Anderson and then the secondary, but I don't necessarily feel it's going to be a huge high scoring game in general. So yeah, I'm still kind of off with Teddy B. I'd stick with Cousins.
I agree. The BBV guy again. Brady or Tannehill?
I think we had this question like to the beginning, didn't we?
Yeah, I think we did. And it's very close. And I think we both said slightly Tannehill, right?
Slightly Tannehill. I wouldn't be surprised if Brady had one of his games where he, 3-4 touchdowns, he breaks up, but Tannehill is also could have a big game on. So slightly lean Tannehill.
Yeah. Yo boy Troy needs a flex in PPR. Dobbins, Antonio Brown, or Mostert? All right, let's go. Make this one quick.
Antonio Brown.
Yes, Antonio Brown. We did that one. Julian Miranda, Kyler Murray, or Phillip Rivers? Wow. Is that how low people are on Kyler Murray right now?
Well, we're seeing.
Are people like that high on Phillip Rivers right now? Like, what's going on?
No, I think people are legit concerned because of what happened with Russell Wilson last week against the Giants, right? The Giants, all of a sudden look like a shutdown defense, but it doesn't mean they are. I mean, they are, much better than last year. They've been really good pass defense. But Kyler Murray, unlike Russell Wilson, right? Russell Wilson of old had that rushing ability. He doesn't pull it down and run anymore. Kyler Murray could break off a 50-yard run at any time. He's got that at least going for him. So I would still stick with Murray.
Yeah, I can't bench him for Phillip Rivers because, like I said earlier, there's no guarantee that Phillip Rivers throws a touchdown in this one. It could be all the running game. The Raiders are terrible against the run. All right, Leo LaSure, Josh Jacobs, or Mike Davis full PPR. Here we go.
That is a good question. That is a tough question because Jacobs is just super risky, right? We don't know how healthy he is. It's a really bad matchup. Davis, we know will get the touches. Denver's been bad. But Jacobs could definitely have more upside there. Man, I'm slightly leaning towards Mike Davis, but I'm hating myself for
it. I feel the same exact way. I just think Davis is going to get more catches. They're both going to need a touchdown to really have any upside. So give me Davis, but I do hate myself for it as well.
It's just because it's the playoff, the risk factor. Jacobs is just so risky because we don't know what he's going to give you this week. You know what I mean? And it's a terrible matchup. It was a great matchup. I say, okay, he can only be in there for a half against the Jets or something and smash. But yeah, it's just risky.
All right, Tim Benton, Tanyan, or Mark Andrews?
Well, what is Mark Andrews going to give us this week? Mark Andrews should be a full go, right? As far as we know, he's just back in action, right?
Yep. As far as I know, he's back, full go.
So if all systems go for Andrews. I think you have to keep him in there. I know he's had some disappointing games, but I feel like, he's going to be involved.
Yeah, and he was having some big games before COVID. So I think you got to roll with Andrews. DH Madden, Gio, Gurley, Washington, or Darnell Mooney, full PPR.
I think we can cross Mooney off the list there. I know Houston's bad, but still. Who else would you cross out? We're only picking one, right?
Yeah, I'm crossing out DeAndre Washington. It's between Gurley and Gio, and only because Gio has that matchup. And even then, it's like I probably am going to just roll with Gurley here. I know Gurley's not going to catch any passes, but
yeah, I agree. I think I have Gurley just barely ahead of him.
Yeah, it's close. I don't love any of those guys this week, but I think I like Gurley the best. Team Fubu, Drake or McKissick, full PPR.
Well, the PPR thing does matter. I'm still going with Drake.
Yeah, I still have to roll with Drake here. He's can score a touchdown in any given week, which McKissick will not, more than likely. John Schultz, Mike Davis, Cole Beasley, Amari Cooper, or Duke Johnson in standard scoring. Pick one.
I'm sticking with Cooper. It's a great spot. Andy Dalton's going to be all fired up playing against the Bengals. No, but Cooper has been great. He's been really good lately. I think you got to feel pretty good about him. So I'm sticking with, even though it's not PPR, I'll stick with Cooper.
Yeah, I agree. Beasley, not so much in standard. Davis is okay, but give me the upside of Cooper. All right, controversial. Pick two to start. Antonio Brown, Marquise Brown, Jarvis Landry, T.Y. Hilton.
Go with the first and the last there. Antonio Brown for sure.
And then T.Y. Hilton?
And T.Y. Hilton.
I agree. I know Jarvis Landry's had two really good games, but again, I'm really down on that passing game this week.
Yeah.
Jarvis or Kiki? I think we did that one, didn't we? Charles Altman?
I feel like we did, but Kiki, we're both saying Kiki.
Yeah, we're both saying Kiki. Whoa. What just happened here? Okay, Lucy in the Sky. How is it up there, by the way? Which defense? We get a defense question. Nice. This is my alley right here. Ravens versus Cleveland, Chiefs versus the Dolphins, or Washington versus the Niners.
All right, we'll go for it.
I got to go Washington against the Niners. Good defense, good defensive front. Nick Mullins turnover prone. Nick Mullins will take some sacks. I think it's just a good spot for Washington.
Yeah, I'll say, with the Chiefs, everyone says, the Dolphins are struggling, but the Tua at quarterback, that actually is worse for the defense fantasy-wise than with Ryan Fitzpatrick, who Fitzpatrick's going to go for interceptions. But Tua, the one thing he's been good at is not piling up yardage, but it's avoiding turnovers. He's not throwing interceptions, and they will play it safe. So I don't feel like there's enough upside to start the Chiefs here because Tua is just, he's not throwing picks.
Yeah. I don't know what that means. Can you flash? We're going to skip that. Rohan Raj, Hopkins or not DeAndre Swift, guys. We're going to almost always say no to DeAndre Swift, and especially for Hopkins. No way. Hopkins. Yeah. Tammy Meyer, Tyler Boyd, Kiki Kuti. I don't know if it's Curtis Samuel or Debo Samuel. One of the Samuels. Half PPR. But I think it doesn't matter. But maybe it does.
You can't. I know with Boyd, let's address Boyd. We haven't had a Boyd question yet, right? Had that 72-yard touchdown last week, but that's all he did. Of course, he got ejected, but you're not counting on that. I know it's a good matchup, but still, they're still rolling out a third-string quarterback.
Yeah.
So I would say we could say not Boyd. Still sticking with Kiki.
Yeah. I too much upside for Kuti to bench him. All right, McCrawler XD, good to see you. And this question pains me. Josh Allen or Ryan Tannehill?
It's a tough one. How do you bench Josh Allen? I have Tannehill higher, honestly.
I mean, that's fine, and I get it with rankings. But when push comes to shove, are you going to stick Josh Allen on your bench with Ryan Tannehill? Like, look, it's not like Ryan Tannehill goes out there and throws for 300 yards every week. I like Ryan Tannehill a lot this week. But Derrick Henry could run for 150 yards and 2 touchdowns. It's Jacksonville, right?
Well, that's why I'm going with Tannehill, because it's Jacksonville. And that's the thing. And Jacksonville's been worse against the pass than the run. They're at least making an effort. I mean, there's just no resistance in that secondary. I know what you're saying. It's tough because Josh Allen is just tough to bench, period. And but I mean, look at what Tannehill did last week. 389 yards. I mean, he could do that this week.
Yeah, but they were also losing 38 to 3 at the half. He had to do nothing but throw in the second half. Derrick Henry had 5 points. Yeah. I like Tannehill, but come on. I'm not benching Josh Allen, who's been even in his down games, he's getting you 16 or 17 points. That's his floor this year. I cannot do it in a must win. I can't sit there with Josh Allen on my bench racking up 30 points while Tannehill goes out there and throws for 250 and a touchdown just because Derrick Henry runs wild this week. If anybody's running wild for the Bills this week, it's going to be Josh Allen. No, right?
Yeah.
I can't do it. I mean, I like the Tannehill matchup, but I can't do that personally. That's just me. I'd rather lose with Josh Allen than have him be on my bench going off. That's just me, though.
Yeah.
All right. Cameron Zuniga at running back. Dobbins or Gio Bernard?
Well, in this case, I know Gio's got the better matchup. I actually lean Dobbins just because of the upside. I feel like he's going to be the main guy, and they're going to try to establish the run in this case. I actually do like Dobbins a little bit better.
Yeah, I think so. It's close. I don't love either of these guys, but Dobbins does look good, at least. And then who would you sit between the two Samuels, Debo and Curtis, and CeeDee Lamb? Who would you sit? One of them. Which one would you sit?
I don't think I would sit Debo. I would probably sit CeeDee Lamb. I think I have him lowest.
Yeah, I agree. I'd sit CeeDee Lamb. Ray Munoz, Tom Brady or Taysom Hill?
Got to be Tom Brady this week.
I agree. Roman, for my flex, need to decide between Curtis Samuel, Devin Singletary, Chase Claypool, DeAndre Washington, Duke Johnson, or Kuti.
Just one?
Yeah, it's got to be Kuti.
It's got to be Kuti. Curtis Samuel's not in a bad spot, like we said, but Kuti, I mean, he's almost a must start.
Yeah, because we know they're going to throw the ball a ton. They don't run the ball, so he's going to get tons of targets. He's got big playability. Yeah. Connor Garrett, Josh Jacobs, or Kareem Hunt?
Man, now that's tough. Hunt seems like the safer play. I would still stick with Jacobs, though.
Yeah, I agree. I think he'll get more work. Ray Munoz again. Okay, start 3 in PPR. AJ Brown, yes. Right? Allen Robinson, yes. Those guys are must. So we need one between Terry McLaurin or Michael Thomas. PPR.
Ooh, that's tough. I think I have Thomas a little higher.
I like Thomas with Taysom Hill. I think you got to start him. I agree. William Watkins, Corey Davis, or Kiki? Here we go.
Oh, man. All right. So the two guys we've been hyping up. Man, the matchup would say you got to lean towards Corey Davis. Who's guaranteed to get more targets is probably Kuti. So it's not really a floor ceiling debate. Kuti's the safer pick, but I think I might lean towards Davis.
Yeah, I got Davis as a top 15 wide receiver this week. I think you got to play Davis. Jeremy Wong, Higgins or Gallup? I assume he means T. Higgins or Michael Gallup. Oof.
Yeah, Gallup is just too. I mean, it's not even boom bust because when's the last time he really boomed?
Yeah, he's just bust. He's just an every week bust.
Yeah,
now that we say that, he'll boom. But
yeah, I mean the matchup is good, but still, I feel much better about Amari Cooper than any of the other receivers in this matchup. So
yeah, I think this is a time when I would start T. Higgins.
Yeah.
All right, Lucius Veronis, 44. Pick 2, Thielen, Taylor. I assume Jonathan Taylor or Alvin Kamara. So Thielen, Jonathan Taylor, or Kamara. Pick 2.
Okay. Now we're getting to the tough spot. How do we feel about Jonathan Taylor this week? Not as great as last week. He's still startable. Would I start him over Kamara? No, I would still stick with Kamara personally.
Yeah.
You feel it? Okay.
And then Thielen.
So we're between Thielen and Taylor. I'd say Thielen probably.
Yeah, for me, it's Thielen and Kamara. Like Kamara and Taylor, like kind of similar situations, but I like Kamara better than Taylor. Like Kamara's really good. Mario Robb, Andy Dalton, Jalen Hurts, or Phillip Rivers, and it's 6-point passing for touchdowns. So that does actually knock Hurts down a little bit because that rushing upside isn't as great in 6-point passing touchdown leagues.
Even if it was a 3-point per touchdown, I'm not taking Hurts out of that group. I mean, that's just me. Again, I love the player, I like him, but just I'm not playing him in fantasy, at least not this week. Okay, so we got, was it Rivers or
Dalton?
I would still stick with Rivers. I don't feel bad about Dalton. I just don't feel like the potential for multiple touchdowns is quite there. Rivers, I know it's risky. Like you said, it could be where the running backs get the touchdowns, right? Rivers only throws one, but Rivers could also throw 3 touchdowns. I mean, he's done that too. And I feel like at least with the yardage, his floor is a little bit higher. So I would stick with Rivers.
Yeah, I'd probably if it was my team, I'd probably play Rivers, but I feel like Dalton has sneaky upside this week, but he could also completely bomb. So, all right, Gary Scandal. Brown, I assume he means Antonio Brown. Michael Thomas. Well, he said Brown, Thomas, Robinson. There's a lot of Browns and a lot of Thomases. Robinson, James Robinson, or is he saying Antonio Brown, Michael Thomas, Allen Robinson? Because they're all wide receivers? That's all I can come up with.
Probably.
So out of that group, who do you play? Assuming that's the group.
Well, I mean, it kind of depends which Brown, I guess. AJ Brown or Antonio Brown.
That's the other thing, yeah.
I'll just say one of the Robinsons, whichever one it is.
Yeah.
I mean, Allen Robinson, I think I have him higher anyway. So if it's Allen Robinson, I'll just say Allen Robinson.
Yeah. All right, Bryce Amari, pick one. Higgins, Kuti, Beasley, not DeAndre Washington, half PPR.
Gotta stick with Kuti.
Yeah, I agree. Full PPR, Edwards, Elaire, Boyd, or Dobbins?
It's a little tougher. I can't be Boyd. I just don't feel great about Edwards Elaire this week. I don't feel like it's a game where they're going to run. So I'm stick with Dobbins.
I'm going to go Edwards Elaire here. I think they're both risky. I feel like he'll get more run in this game. Touchdown upside. It's close. We got about 15 minutes, so let's start going rapid fire here. Don't forget, guys, top of the chat, I pinned it. The Discord server, get in there. We're already getting some questions in there. Jump in there. And if we helped you guys out, please hit that subscribe button. We really appreciate it. All right, rapid fire. Here we go. Usman Iqbal needs to pick 3. Juju, Corey Davis, Robbie Anderson, Cole Beasley.
Has to pick what? 1?
3.
3?
You need to drink a bang before these shows.
I'm trying to make sure my lineups are set because now I'm like, oh man, it's almost kickoff time.
All right, Corey Davis, Robbie Anderson, Cole Beasley, Juju, pick 3.
Corey Davis, yes. Robbie Anderson, yes. And then what was it? Juju or
Beasley?
Juju. I would stick with Juju.
I would go Beasley. It's not Juju for me. Matthew N. Mike Williams or Michael Pittman in flex?
Yeah, gotta go with Mike Williams. This is a good matchup for him. Pittman has kind of disappointed the last couple weeks.
Yeah, I think Mike Williams has tons of upside this week. Got to go with him. Defensive grinds. Chad Hansen or Cole Beasley? Come on.
I get the Hansen thing because he's now the wide receiver 2, and he had a 100-yard game last week, didn't he? But you still stick with Beasley.
Yeah, I gotta be Beasley. Mike Williams or Jalen Reagor?
Mike Williams.
I agree. Can't trust Jalen Reagor. Brandon Bohr, Brandon Ayuk or Kiki? Ooh, this is Ayuk or Kuti?
That is tough. I have them really close. I actually have Ayuk a little bit higher.
Yeah, I think I like Ayuk a little bit better, but it's really close. Noah Rothschild, Jonnu Smith. Well, not Anthony Ferguson, right? We like Jonnu Smith more than Ferguson now that Smith is playing.
Now that he's back and he's a starter, yeah, I think he's the play. You can't start for sure.
Yeah. Steve Boy, pick one. Mike Davis, Kenyon Drake, or Zeke. Wow. There we go.
Davis, Drake, or Zeke.
Yeah.
Zeke is probably the riskiest out of that group. So I would say Drake.
I agree. I like Drake. Chris Alhet. Who should I start? Kyler Murray or Justin Herbert? There's one for you. There's a good one.
And that's tough because Herbert hadn't looked good lately since, Eckler being back has actually hurt him. It seems like, but this is a good matchup. But I still have Murray higher.
Yeah. If Justin Herbert was still balling out, I'd say him, but they've both been struggling. I got to go Murray. Can't bench him. All right. LA, one flex spot, PPR. Edwards Elaire. We did that one. Okay. Devin Singletary or DeAndre Washington?
Not Singletary. Sorry. The Steelers, he doesn't do much for you anyways, and the Steelers have one of the best run defenses. So I would stick with Washington.
Yeah, I think it is Washington. I just can't trust those Bills. Like I said, if anybody's going to run wild, it's going to be Josh Allen. All right, Damian Embry, full PPR, Drake or Ayuk?
Ooh, full PPR?
Yeah.
Oh, man. And I would probably stick with Ayuk.
Yeah, I think full PPR gives Ayuk the edge here.
Yeah.
All right. Brandon V, Josh Jacobs, DeAndre Swift, no. DeAndre Washington, probably not. Chase Claypool, Amari Cooper. He needs one running back and two flexes. So running back, okay. Jacobs, Swift, or DeAndre Washington, Jacobs, right?
Jacobs, and then Cooper is a yes.
And then he needs a flex between Swift, Washington, or Claypool.
Claypool.
Yeah, I agree. Completely agree. Gabriel Johnson. First Eckler question. Eckler, Montgomery, Kamara, and Cook. Oh, my gosh. So Cook, obviously, you're starting Cook. This is standard scoring. So he needs to start two between Eckler, Montgomery, and Kamara. Standard scoring.
What? He has all four of those running backs? Okay. Man. Well, congratulations on your win. Okay, so Dalvin Cook is a no-brainer. You don't ever sit him. I'm sitting Eckler out of that group because I'm down on him this week. Compared to those guys, I like Montgomery this week.
Yeah, especially in PPR. Montgomery and Kamara. Kamara not catching passes doesn't hurt him as bad in standard scoring. So there you go. Jack Maggot, Jonnu Smith, or Evan Ingram. I think we did this one. Evan Ingram, right?
Oh, it's definitely Ingram.
Inton Tagger, Kareem Hunt, DeAndre Washington. My goodness. Why couldn't Myles Gaskin just play? Tired of all these DeAndre Washington questions. Kareem Hunt, DeAndre Washington, or Duke Johnson?
Yeah, Kareem Hunt.
Yeah, I don't like Kareem Hunt, but I like him more than those guys. Chris Orlet. Oh, we did that one. Kyler Murray. Damian Embry. Pick a flex, full PPR. Mike, we basically did this one, but Mike Williams, Kenyon Drake, Brandon Ayuk.
Mike Williams, Kenyon Drake, or Brandon Ayuk. We're picking one?
Yeah, full PPR.
I mean, Williams is interesting, but you can start him over Ayuk. And so that's the same question we just had. I think it's still Ayuk.
Still Ayuk. Ryan Schill, standard scoring, Drake or Connor, need that upside.
Drake.
Yeah, Drake has the upside. Drake can score. It's definitely Drake. Do not ask me Corey Davis and DeAndre Swift. Come on, guys. You're breaking my heart with these questions. It's Corey Davis like 1,000%.
Yeah.
Let's see. Panthers defense or Washington defense? I think I still gotta go Washington. I do like the
Panthers just don't get enough turnovers to be interesting for fantasy.
We did that. Okay, Tammy Meyer, Chase Edmonds, Zach Moss, Phillip Lindsay. Help, running back screwed. Yes, it sounds like they are, unfortunately.
Okay, I don't mind Lindsay. Zach Moss is a no-go for me. I kind of don't mind Lindsay in this matchup.
Yeah, I kind of like Lindsay too. Against that Carolina defense, I like Lindsay. We did that. Wow. Okay. Austin Kohler. I don't know why, but I feel like AB is going to have a big day. So do we.
I do too.
Okay, not really a question there. I don't know how to help you. You're just kind of telling us what you're doing. Sounds like everything's okay there. Where are we at here? Okay, D. Joa, Nyheim Hines, Amari Cooper, Edwards Elaire, full PPR. Pretty simple here, I think.
Just one?
Yeah.
Cooper?
Yep, definitely Cooper. Football forever, Mostert or McKissick. This comes down to standard or PPR. I think in PPR we both agree McKissick.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, in standard, I guess you could go with Mostert just because of the big play touchdown upside. But I assume if it's even half PPR, I'd still stick with McKissick.
Yeah. All right, Wes, Antonio Brown, T. Higgins, Kareem Hunt, Mostert.
How many? One?
I assume so, yeah. If they don't say, I just assume one. Yeah.
Antonio Brown? Yeah, I like Antonio Brown.
Yeah, I agree. Antonio Brown. We did that one. We did that one. Debo or Josh Jacobs? This is casual Connor. Debo or Josh Jacobs, full PPR?
I stick with Debo. It's just safer.
I agree. Let's see. Dustin Pritchard, DeAndre Washington, Ty Johnson, Gurley. Pick one.
Gurley.
Yes. Or I guess Tim Patrick or Kuti.
I like Tim Patrick in general, but Kuti this week is you kind of have to start him.
I agree. Who Rambling Deviant saw that Finn's hat and had to tune in. All right.
All right.
Who would you start between McKissick, Gallman, or Mike Evans?
McKissick, Gallman, or
Mike Evans.
Mike Evans?
Yeah.
Man, I've been a supporter of Gallman just because of his opportunity this year. He's not a special back, but he's been pretty solid. And, I feel like he's underrated. But Mike Evans, I mean, he has that upside that you can't deny. Like, is Gallman going to score a touchdown this game? Yeah, it's a 50-50 chance. He's been doing it most weeks. But I got to stick with Evans.
Yeah, Evans too much upside. Brett Lewis, Duke Johnson, or Goddard for his flex? Wow.
I wouldn't go with a tight end unless there's a tight end premium or bonus or anything. I'd still stick with running back.
Yeah, I don't even like Duke Johnson.
I don't like him this week, but I don't like Goddard either. It's at the tight end position. So
yeah, it's a tough one. Let's see. Okay, here we go. Star one at Believe the Hype. Star one at flex. Ayuk, Cooper, Swift. Well, Brandon Cooks is out, and we're off of Swift. So Ayuk or Cooper at your flex?
I have Cooper higher.
Yeah, I like them both this week. Cooper slightly higher. We did that one. Chris Godwin, Taranavir Rai. Chris Godwin or Ronald Jones?
Ooh, that's a tough one. Oh, man.
Gotta go rapid fire.
Ronald Jones.
I agree. I think he's going to get a ton of touches with Leonard Fournette out. Anthony Felice, Herbert or Tannehill?
Tannehill.
Yeah, Tannehill. We did that one. Okay, here's one for you. Cian O'Driscoll, Antonio Brown or Brandon Ayuk?
I'm on Antonio Brown this week. I'm not going to back down. Top 15 receiver.
I personally would play Ayuk, but I like them both. Anthony Mclaurin, standard league, needs two. A.J. Brown, Justin Jefferson, or Kuti? Look, we were both really like Kuti, but I think we like Brown and Justin Jefferson more, right?
Especially, you said standard, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so in that case, it's the first two for sure.
Yeah. Brandon Sudheimer, half PPR, pick two. Mclaurin, Ayuk, a lot of Ayuk questions. Mike Williams, I think we can just stop right there. Maybe Perryman?
Like Perryman, but not, this is the first two.
Yeah, first two, for sure. Brian Prince, Duke Johnson, Hunt, or Gurley in full PPR?
Duke Johnson, Hunt, or Gurley? It's still Gurley.
Yeah, I agree. Jay Heyman, do I play Juju or Ayuk?
Ayuk.
Yes, definitely Ayuk. Splashy B1, PPR league. He needs one out of Ayuk, Miles Sanders, Deebo Samuel, or Marvin Jones.
Say it again. He needs one.
Yeah, Ayuk, Deebo Samuel, Marvin Jones, Miles Sanders.
I'd go with Ayuk.
Agree. Braden Adams, Tyler Lockett, or Adam Thielen? Jeez.
You got to trust Thielen. Lockett is, he disappears sometimes. I know the matchup is great, but still, he's doing what he did last year in the second half, just kind of disappearing. So I stick with Thielen.
Yeah, Thielen's in a great spot. Just take the safety. Cameron Zuniga, Dobbins, or Gio Bernard?
Dobbins.
I agree. Let's see. Sean Kirk, sit one. Deontay Johnson, Ridley, Allen Robinson, Godwin. Oh, my goodness. Got to sit one of those guys.
If you have to, then to me, I think it would be Deontay Johnson.
I agree, but they're all great. They're all great plays. Andrew Lewis, Kuti, or Claypool, half PPR?
I'm going Kuti.
I agree. Oh my gosh, we have so many questions. We're never going to get to all these. Where are we at here? ET plays Justin Jefferson or AJ Brown?
Yeah, that's tough, but I'd stick with AJ Brown.
Yeah, you can't go wrong with either of those. Zeke or Swift? Zeke, not Swift. Duke or DeAndre Washington, PPR?
DeAndre Washington.
Hilton or Samuel? I don't know if it's Debo or Curtis.
Samuel?
Yeah, either.
I think I have them both a little bit higher. So
Marvin Jones, Chris Godwin, Cousins or Trubisky. We both say Cousins, right? Trying to rapid fire through these. Let's try to pick somewhere we haven't covered these guys. Okay, here we go. Chark, Perryman, Mike Davis, Miles Sanders, or Devontae Parker, full PPR, pick one.
True. Not Chark. I still think I have Parker a little bit ahead of Perryman. And who else was there?
Mike Davis, Miles Sanders.
Not Sanders. I might just go with Mike Davis.
I think I might go with Mike Davis too. Although I do like Parker as well. Close on those ones. Gage or Antonio Brown? Come on, Antonio Brown. Godwin over Jones. Sorry, I'm just trying to find ones with guys we haven't talked about because we've talked about a lot of these guys already. Rivers or Josh Allen? Come on, buddy. Dude, that's just a
Josh
knife
Allen.
Dagger to my heart. Here we go. Oh, what happened? This is a good one. Beer or whiskey?
Beer. Good beer. Look, we can talk about this in the Discord. Let's leave this for the Discord chat, guys. By the way, huh?
Yeah, don't start going down that road.
Okay.
We don't have time for that.
Join us, guys. By the way, I know start sick questions will be null and void in about 5 minutes, but join us on the Discord. We can chat game day discussion, talk about what's happening. We had some discussion last week, one of our viewers, and also talk dynasty, trades, whatever.
Yeah, and especially if you have start sit questions for afternoon, guys, we can still help you with that. Yeah. Here we go. Pick two: Drake, Eckler, Diggs. Last question. Well, maybe not.
Diggs
one more.
And Drake.
Ooh, bold. I don't know if I could sit Eckler for Drake, but I might regret it.
This week only.
All right, Coco Bongo, Mostert or Hines?
Actually, I think I might go Hines.
Yeah, I just can't trust Mostert with that injury. Melissa Morris, Claypool, Ayuk, or CeeDee Lamb standard scoring?
Still stick with Ayuk.
Yeah, let's see what else we got here. Anything else we got that I haven't?
I think Claypool would be my second choice if it's standard.
Okay, here we go. Last question: Kuti or Antonio Brown, full PPR, but he wants to know, Mama Yens, who gets more volume?
Kuti, but who has the bigger upside? It's Antonio Brown. So if you want to shoot for the moon, you go with AB, but Kuti's probably the safer pick. I mean, look, the Houston offense just could struggle in general. I mean, it's not guaranteed Kuti will go off, but he'll probably get more catches. I don't know. I'm feeling AB. It's a great matchup for him.
All right, guys. Well, it looks like it's kickoff. Thanks, everybody. Don't forget Discord. Go to the top. It's pinned. Click it. We'll help you out with your afternoon start sits or your Monday, Sunday night start sits. And if we helped you out, please hit the subscribe button.
Absolutely. Thanks for watching, especially those of you who are with us each and every week. Good luck. Good luck in week 14. Crush those playoffs.
All right. It's just to the point now where we're just not going to get to all the questions. There were so many questions still.
Like we're still live. We still live. It still says we're live.
Well, I stopped it. It takes a little while to. Nobody's going to go. Oh my God. Nobody's going to go back and watch. Nobody's going to go back and watch the last. It's a 2-hour long video. Nobody's going to watch the last 2 minutes. And if they do, hey, if you're watching, look, if you're watching this after the fact, welcome. You can hear you get some behind the scenes here. So good for you. You get some behind the scenes.
I actually want to get your take, Chris. I've been through the years a huge beer fan, but I had to stop recently because my wife is gluten-free now. So I am, by association, mostly gluten-free, which means my choices in beer are very limited. But where do you stand on that?
I'm not really a big drinker, period.
That makes sense since you're a trainer and you're like, like the embodiment of
I'll tell you a little secret about a lot of trainers. They drink, they party, and they eat like crap. A lot of them. They're just people who are like probably somewhat genetically gifted or are just insanely like dedicated to fitness, and they understand how to like go out and party on the weekends and then undo all that damage. Like they understand all the tricks to undo that damage. Like they have the discipline to like, maybe they go party on Friday and Saturdays, but then they like get super strict Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, right? Like they have that discipline. Yeah. Whereas most people party on Friday and Saturday, and then they don't have any discipline during the week either.
They're still eating, McDonald's throughout the week and whatever. They back and forth, they yo-yo, right? Everyone yo-yos, but that's funny. I think a lot of it, like you said, is just genetic for some people, but also age. Like when I was in my 20s, I ate terribly. Not like actually I did. I just ate terrible. Like I would eat a ton, and I eat, junk food, and I ate whatever, and I drank, whatever. It didn't matter. And I was in really good shape, and I was skinny because that's just how my metabolism was. And I would work out, but yeah, it didn't matter what I did. It's true. I think for some people, it really doesn't matter. As long as you keep working out and get in shape, you can still look good.
Yeah. So I'm not the guy to ask for beer.
Okay. Or whiskey. Well, beer versus whiskey. Which
I would choose beer. I would choose beer because
you're not a whiskey guy.
No.
I'm not a whiskey. I've never been a big whiskey person. I mean, that's okay. I like Crown, but out of all the